Okay, so welcome to the Street Talk segment of the podcast. I'm really looking forward to going over this week. I think there may be some opinions inflamed with this week's episode. We'll have to see. Speaking of which, because I'm not really pleased with any of the storyline titles this week, but I'm calling the Amy one Amy Inflamed because there's, I'm getting a grimace from Gemma for that one. Not my best work. What about this is also terrible. Isla Beguiler, because. She is in beguiling. Yeah, maybe. No, okay. Poor Paulie Paul, classic. Salon Up. That's not a bad one. Salon Up. Because they are selling up the
That's
salon.
Good. I like
the
that
salon
one.
is up.
Yeah.
Well, Swim North is anyway. Vape Alarm is back. There's and that was mostly it, but we did have a little bit of the Joseph story on Monday, a little bit about the Rovers one, and Ed gets his Norris bank card, doesn't he, in the Cole hard cash story. So we will finish off the Street Talk segment by having a little bit of a chat about those. But Amy's story first. Do you want to launch into the synopsis, or do you want to get anything off your chest with this one so far?
I can't. I really can't.
You sure? Are you gonna watch what you're saying tonight?
I've got to hold my tongue.
I thought this was fantastic. I'd heard on the rumour mill that there was going to be an Amy storyline. It was going to go a bit dark, but I didn't really know what it was going to be. And then when they, at the beginning of this week, they brought back up the Aaron stuff and the spiking and the raping and everything. I was like, oh, okay, fine. I wasn't expecting to see that again, but things definitely turned dark quickly, didn't they? And tonight's episode, when they had pretty much the whole of the second half of the episode set in the club, and we were both on the edge of our seats. We were like, what on earth is going to happen here? So let's just cut the chat. Let's go to the synopsis, and we'll see where it takes us. So, Gemma, I assume you would like to take the lead in this story. Tell us, what was Amy getting up to this week?
I think you should do this one.
Me? Well, mate. But I hope that you're going to join in with some comments as we go there. Well, I will take the lead if you're happy with that. So, Amy and Nina. No, I've even got it wrong. I've even written here Asha and Nina. Asha and Nina are chatting on the street to Amy at the beginning of the week. She is drowning in essay deadlines. You asked me earlier this week what she's studying at university, and I still can't remember.
I thought it was some kind of business or...
Oh, it might, it might be business. Naughty business by the sounds of it. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. She's got deadlines for her essays, so she can't go out and have lovely fun times with them. But as she goes in, Asha brings up this anti-spiking demo in the Northern Quarter tomorrow and wonders whether Amy's going to be going to it, because as we know, Amy is not a fan of spiking, having been a victim herself last year. Do you think that this whole story, like, was it like a year and a half ago maybe that Amy was spiked?
Yeah.
Do you think that... I always... It makes me wonder how far in advance these are planned, and was when that happened to her, was the end point, or, was a key moment always going to be this? Or was it a case of, well, that's happened to her then, and then a year later they decide, I wonder whether we should revisit that and make all this happen? It'd be really interesting to know whether this is a long-term, very slow-moving arc for Amy, or, But anyway, she'd like to go to this thing, but there's just too much work on, so she can't. When she's at the cafe later, she sees this woman who was the one that did the disappearing act in the community centre last week, and as we know, Amy is a committed shoulder volunteer, so she volunteers her shoulder to the woman to have a good cry on. They go back home. I think they gave her a name, Kate, I think it was, maybe. And they're going back to number one, and the woman's talking about the experience that she had when she was date raped. So she said, I was out, I woke up the next morning, banging head next to a guy in bed. She thinks she was spiked. She thinks that she'd had sex. And Amy says, that wasn't sex. You didn't consent. What happened to you wasn't sex. And the woman says, look, I've not been able to tell anyone about this. And how did you manage to get through this? And Amy, at this point, just starts to break down. The woman already is kind of in tears about this, and Amy's realising that she is in just a bit over her head at the moment, and she says, look, I listen to you, I don't think I've dealt with this at all. So later on, Amy's summoned Summer over to come and see her, and she's crying her eyes out, barely get the words out, and Summer just gives her a big old hug. She says, I just don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with this woman. I was trying to say the right things to make things better, but I just didn't have the right words. I should have been able to help her. And Summer's like, no, you had this happen to you. That doesn't make you an expert in giving advice on what to say to other people who have been in a similar situation. You're already doing more than enough. And she kind of helps her out there. And Amy says, "You know what? I think I will go to that anti-spiking demo after all." How did you find that scene with Amy?
What do you mean?
Just I just
What
was
scene?
the one with Amy and the lady and the crying lady.
Oh, I was going to say we didn't get to see the demo.
No. The of course we didn't, because I would say they never like to film offset, but we did get to see the clubbing scene tonight. No, I thought it was very effectively done. Those two women having had a similar experience, both great actresses. I think that Elle Mulvaney is pulling a blinder at the moment. I think she's doing such a great job, and yeah, that's what kind of really hooked me into the week.
Yeah, I think one thing that is a negative maybe about modern acceptance of mental health issues is that we expect you to be able to fix the problems, and if you just do XYZ then you'll be okay. And so the fact that Amy is she's been seeking help but she's still not okay, and she is finally admitting to herself that even though she's doing all the right things in inverted commas, there's still a certain amount of time that needs to pass. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. It's
difficult for us, I suppose, because as viewers we've not seen a whole lot of Amy since this story's been on. She was flirting around with Aadi at the beginning of the Courtney story, but she's been sidelined, and it's almost like we're sometimes conditioned as soap viewers to think, well, when the story's over, then it's all been neatly put away in the box and the characters got over it, and the next time that we see them, they'll just be back to normal like they're before it all started almost. But clearly this is, she's been doing her shoulder volunteering as a way to, I don't know, how do you think that is a way to try and help other people? And maybe clearly what went on in the club today was her going out and literally taking revenge on men. But maybe
it wasn't taking revenge on men.
Well, it was being able to fight back, wasn't it?
Against who?
Nasty men. Nasty men.
Not a specific man who was doing a specific thing.
Yeah.
This is the problem. There are so many people who, and I'm going to say it's men, who want to project the idea that if a woman does something to, like, is that scary to them, then she hates all men. Like, what are you... There's loads of people on the internet, I want to ask them, what are you scared of happening to you, personally, as a man, as a result of this storyline? Because there are loads of people who can watch Amy's storyline and say, that happened to me, that happened to my friend, that could happen to me. And it's realistic, it's a realistic fear. Any man watching this going, we can't let the women spike us, that's not fair. That seems to be the problem that loads of people have. Like, the idea that a woman would take revenge, it's far-fetched and silly, so don't worry about it. It's not going to happen to you. And the only reason it happened to this bloke was because he was trying to do it to her first.
Oh, yeah.
It's not... Sometimes soap stories are realistic and hard-hitting and gritty and honest and real. This isn't supposed to be that. This has moved on from that. This is the realm of fantasy now. And there are plenty of people
tonight
watching this going, yeah, go on, girl, roll him in the canal.
Well, I turned to you when the club scene was happening tonight, saying she's turned into Tracy.
Yes, it's brilliant.
But when Tracy was bludgeoning Charlie, I think we were kind of egging her on a little bit there because of what a vile man that he was.
Yeah.
And this dude that she was in the club with was, as you know, in real life, you'd be like, Amy, don't do that. But as people watching her work of fiction, I was like, yeah, this is brilliant.
She wasn't doing it to some innocent man who is just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was trying to spike her, and let's not forget, he ended up in hospital, and the doctor said he nearly died. So imagine, you know, it's touch and go. Good job you got him there. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known if he would have made it. She's much smaller than this bloke. She probably would have had a worse reaction. And this guy could have killed her.
Let's
I have no sympathy. I'm sorry. I think it's brilliant. I think Aadi should have shut his mouth. And
let's get to that when we get there, because so far we haven't even got
It's
to
not
Wednesday's
real.
episode.
it's just not real.
So I think
Some things
Amy,
feel real, and this. I'm sorry. Are you watching this and thinking this feels real to you? It's not, is it? It's a fantasy.
Couldn't the woozy camera fades and banging music give it away? No, I was just kind of saying that the shoulder volunteering for Amy was a way of helping women who had been affected by her, and saying, well,
by her,
by nasty men. That's the PG version of what we would call them. And she knows, because she feels that Aaron got away with it, I think, doesn't she?
Do you think she feels that? Do you think that might be
a yes. And she obviously doesn't like...
She didn't feel he got away with it. He got away with it.
He did get away with it.
Objectively speaking.
I think she feels like she didn't do enough to stop him from getting the punishment that he clearly deserved. But by helping these women who have been through similar situations, maybe she can get a nasty man sent down that way. This week it turned very much into the next level, just like taking direct action.
I'm going to say another thing also. I think a lot of the times when women are being urged to come forward with to try to prosecute or get justice for what's happened to them, a lot of the argument that gets used is, oh, you're stopping it from happening to somebody else. And that can really make you feel guilty if you decide not to go ahead, or you can't go ahead for some reason. So there's definitely a real possibility that Amy now feels guilty every time she meets another victim. Who knows whether the person that this woman's talking about, it could have been Aaron.
Well, yeah, and I wonder whether she'd be thinking, well, Aaron's moved away now. Who's he raping now?
Well, to be clear, the situations, Amy was in two separate situations that have been conflated into one. She wasn't roofied and raped. She was spiked once by accident.
Was it by accident?
Well, it was during the party. Wasn't it during the winter ball?
No, I don't. Oh, was it? You know what? I don't.
I thought it was
no,
Max.
I think maybe... Yes, it was. You're right. You remember this better than me. Max
spiked her by accident and nothing happened.
Yes.
And then she was also raped by Aaron when they were both drunk, and she didn't consent to what happened.
There was an awful lot of dodgy business going on at Weatherfield High. There was upskirting, there was date raping, there's vaping. Oh my goodness
Shut
me.
it down.
Yeah.
So just
Orla
to be clear,
Crawshaw, she's not shown her head for a while. I think she's just hiding behind her desk in shame.
She's getting the Ofsted.
That's why the head teacher
terrible.
hasn't been in it. Mr. Griffiths hasn't been in it for years.
Like,
and she's like, can
can't
I
pin
join
this
you
on
in
me,
your
I'm
bunker?
So Aaron didn't spike her, but she certainly has been a victim of sexual assault.
Yes, and I can imagine if you've had these kind of things happen to you, it can mess your head up so much that the ideas do get conflated.
There's obviously a difference in intent between somebody spiking a drink in a club to get a woman that they do not know so drugged up they don't know what's happening to them, and two people drinking to the extent that they can't consent to sex. There's obviously two different things. But in Amy's mind, if she can save somebody from that, I mean, they're similar. They're similar enough, aren't they?
Yeah. And what better way to save people from that than by going and waving some placards around the northern quarter? So that's what she decides to do, along with Evelyn, Cassie, and Summer. They go off there on Wednesday, don't they? She's able to.
They're going to meet Toya later. Don't worry.
Did they say that? You mentioned that the other day. Yeah, poor Toya didn't get a look in.
Toya's in the northern quarter going, where are they?
Yeah.
I knew they'd back out. Everyone always says they're going to protest me, but Spider's the only one who ever did.
There was a nice little scene with Roy as well, who although was he agreed with the right to peacefully protest, he doesn't think that taking a tube of superglue is a good idea if she's going to be doing any modern newfangled protesting of supergluing yourself to the railings. And she's not a mum, is Amy. She's not going to do anything stupid. She barely takes 10 paces before she's trying to use the board to flatten Mason, who confront them in the street. And
weren't they all horrible scroats today on Wednesday?
Yeah, but it's great.
Yeah, I know.
I'm really enjoying Mason. I will.
Teenagers.
I'm going to put my hand up and say that because the first few appearances of Mason, he was just a background, wasn't he? Back in September,
horrible.
was it?
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, there's that guy that they've done the press for. He's just another team. But I think that Luca is doing such a good job.
So obnoxious.
He doesn't intimidate me, but I'm bigger than him. Well, no, that's not true. I'm older than him.
I think I want to smack him with a placard.
But I think he's getting a bit of the Agent Critchley vibes for absolute sure.
Yeah,
and,
set him up for murder.
Yeah. So he's having a go at Amy. I can't remember what he says.
They were just they were like, oh, you'd want to. They just said the most.
Oh yeah, who'd want to sleep with you?
Yeah, it's just the most foul, stupid.
So Amy kind of stands up to him, and she at first she's just kind of squaring up to him and like, I'm not afraid of you, and she is what? 5-6 years older than maybe,
well, she's
but she's definitely a lot more petite than him. So she's showing them that she's not scared. But then he carries on goading her, so she starts going at him with the placard just in time. So coincidental that a police car happens to be stopping right by. I mean, you can't walk 5 paces in Weatherfield without a police car just driving past.
The most infuriating thing too was that he just thought this was funny all the way through, and now she's in trouble.
Oh, what, Luke? I keep
Mason.
calling him Luca because I know that's the actor's name. I don't usually do that. Mason, yeah.
Because he's like, oh, Amy's intimidating me. Oh, you should get her in trouble.
Yeah, he's like, oh, officer.
Because she's the one who's done something wrong now.
Yeah.
Because saying horrible things to people, I mean, some things is actually literally illegal, but apparently being sexist, no, you can do that all day long.
I think that, if she had whacked him with that placard, I don't think many people would have blamed her. But yeah, at that time,
there were so many people.
He wasn't technically doing anything illegal.
Who so much want to hold Amy to higher standards than all these disgusting men who prey on her. It's really ridiculous.
Well, she kind of ups the game when the police let her off later on by going and spraying graffiti over the car. When she was doing it, I was like, oh no, Amy, don't do it. I was a little bit disappointed. I'm glad that it's gone the way that it has now. I didn't realise that it was going down there, the Kill Bill route with the revenge. But when she started spraying the graffiti, I thought Amy wouldn't do that.
Oh, no way! Look, there's the rage that you feel when injustice is being done to you, and people are laughing in your face, and you're trying to make the world a better place.
Do you think that she just wanted an audience with the police?
She just wants justice.
But she's not going to get justice by spray painting a police car.
Okay, that is such a privileged position to come from, to say you should never do anything wrong to try to get justice or equality for yourself. There are so many times when civil disobedience is the only route that you can take to try to get your point across. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily a sterling example of that, but if you have never felt that burning rage of injustice, then I don't think you can truly understand how her visceral reaction to this and why she did what she did. But I can totally sympathise with her.
Oh, I did sympathise with her.
And who's to say that, writing NT on a police car is not going to really help. But there are lots of things. There are loads of people. There are loads of really famous social justice, like progressives, who have changed the course of history, and none of them did it by standing with a sign in their hands.
Mm. What?
Loads of them, like that was part of the movement. But some of the things that happened that changed the course of history were not peaceful or nice or friendly.
I suppose she could have done worse. She could have blown it up or something.
I think she should have hit Mason and beaten him to death.
Any
the Undertaker's right there.
Any suggestions about what Amy might have been scrawling on that police car? I thought it was brilliant because we were all thinking it, weren't we? But the fact that they just showed the last 2 letters was brilliant. Or was it?
I think it was something. I think she wrote the NT of don't look behind you. But Mason is there and he's horrible, and the possibility I fear for him is that he might eventually commit some kind of crime against somebody, because we already know that he's racist and sexist, so who knows what he's capable of. I fear for his future victims, but I also fear for him.
I'll tell you what, she's worried about finishing her essays, but
he's on the bad,
she literally sounds like she's writing one on the side of the car
now,
here.
Imagine what his future holds. And then she'll do like a little smiley face.
I'm thinking that she's writing NTA bait for the storyline.
She's writing, bring back the soap awards.
No, that doesn't get an NT in.
Don't bring back the soap awards.
So, of course...
Don't bring back the soap awards. Not.
Summer, the
okay,
party
well,
pooper.
then I'm sorry, I don't know.
No,
I can't think of it.
I just can't think
Those
of it.
are my only guesses.
Some of the party pooper comes running over and saying, Amy, no, what are you doing? The police didn't even realise they'd been graffitied, did they?
I do think they might have realised that
it
was the Mardi girl that had a spray can in her hand who was trying to beat a man to death with a sign earlier.
We did establish a couple of weeks ago that Weatherfield police aren't the most observant. Was it Swain coming out of the kebab shop? Do you remember?
Don't tell Stephen.
Oh no, yeah, that was... No, what was it?
It was Swain.
That was right. It was Swain that didn't see Stephen. You're right.
Yes.
And, but anyway, so Amy gets hold on down to the cop shop.
Like, whoa, what? Summer, thank you for telling us.
Yes.
You're under arrest.
And they take her in. Summer's running behind saying, no, she didn't mean it. But it's good old Swain who gives her an interview. Swain does seem to be the go-to detective now.
Isn't she?
It feels like they used to, shuffle them round a little bit, but I think they think they're onto a good thing with this one.
Well, I think that they use different people.
They have like
but they use them in blocks. They use them in blocks.
Yeah, but come on, let's have a bit of McKinnon. Right. Although I will say, so I've always been, a little bit. I've not felt the Swain love as much as some other.
You're not on the Swain train.
Outlets. The Swain train.
The Swain train.
Did you make that up, or is that a thing?
I don't know if I did.
Is that part of the? I'm not particularly. I was maybe at the Swain station, but this particular scene.
You're like, I don't know if I can afford this ticket.
This particular scene, I think that I'm going to say that this is right up there with one of Swain's best scenes. This was almost kind of character development for Swain, wasn't it? Which they don't tend to give to these random detective women. They'd shown that she was, a hard ass and everything, but when Amy was telling her about the stupid sexist comments, stupid sexy planters, I was going to say.
Stupid sexy planters.
She was telling her about the stupid sexy planters, the stupid sexist comments that Mason was making, and you guys did nothing. Aaron got away with it as well, and Swain's... She said, look, I agree with you. The mistreatment of women is terrible. We need to be educating young boys better. Doesn't she even say that the system is flawed? Swain admits that the police
don't make the rules.
She says the justice system isn't right. And I loved, even though, maybe as a police officer, she should not be saying this, but
no, I think she's correct.
Who was it the other week in Corrie that was?
What are you trying to say?
Oh no, this was like Billy going on the radio and ragging on the church, wasn't it? This is Swain realising that she too works for an institution that maybe isn't completely set up for the modern day.
Yes, exactly. It must be frustrating for her, and especially in her line of work, she must see. And again, I don't want people to get the wrong idea here. Where sometimes when people hear somebody championing women's causes, they automatically get defensive and say, "But what about men? What about men?" I'm talking about women at the moment. You have to focus on one thing at a time. So Swain must look and say and see to herself the amount of times when she has female victims of crimes who don't get the justice that they want. We've seen it happen to like Yasmin and other people like that, where they get stuck in coercive control relationships, etc. And so she must see time and time again women turning up with black eyes saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna, I need him." Or I've forgiven him, or he said he won't do it again, or women saying, "Well, I'm telling you he raped me," and they say, "Well, we haven't got any proof." There are so many ways that she sees as a group women being let down, and women are not the only group that that suffer, but this is a storyline about that specifically. So yeah, she's going to be saying, I can only do what the law allows me.
Yeah, I just really liked how the script writers allowed her to voice that opinion when these type of characters are usually very neutral, aren't they? What I would just absolutely adore, and this is never going to happen, but it'd probably be so cheap for it to actually. I just want a scene in the women's locker room. Or somewhere else, maybe the canteen at Weatherfield Police Station, with Swain, Abney, McKinnon, all of the police officers that are all kind of like, oh yeah, it's so and so, and they come on. Just talk. This storyline would be perfect for it, wouldn't it not? Having all of those brilliant female side character officers just getting together and talking about what the hell is going on here. Maybe then they go rogue, I don't know. But I would love that. Absolutely love it. Get Jess in as well.
Yeah, Jess.
I don't know.
They're like, you can't sit with us.
I was expecting there to be more with Jess this year after she because she was there taking the statement from Daisy, wasn't she? After the acid attack, I think. I would just really
See, that's
really
another
love
example
that.
though, isn't it? Because Daisy couldn't get any help because there had to be a certain amount of what's the word?
Evidence, yeah,
which the evidence comes in the form of harassment, and you can totally see the problem, because you can't live in a world where the police arrest you because you hung outside a pub twice.
Yeah, I guess the theme this year, the overarching theme is it's hard to get justice if you're a woman.
No, it's sometimes it's hard to be a woman.
Yeah, but you have your perks, don't you?
What do we get? Listen, I've heard enough. I apparently we're the have our cake and eat it gender.
You're very good at cooking.
I think that's not gender related. It's sex related.
Okay, so anyway,
we get to create life, Michael.
Exactly.
And we get to be crazy cat ladies. What do you get? You just become smelly old men who live by themselves.
Exactly. Like Ken Barlow, you'll get to turn into old Kens.
Bet Ken wished he lived by himself. Peace and quiet.
Where was he? You weren't worrying about Amy tonight, was he? When Steve and Tracy were prancing around in their leopard skin onesies.
No,
Ken
that's true.
He
probably came into the front room and went, I'll leave you.
Anyway, Swain's telling Amy, you go,
girl.
I totally agree with you. The system sucks, but you need to trust the people who care about you, your friends, your family. They're saying you need to try and move forward with this, and honestly, that's the best thing. You deserve to live your life. And she lets her free. Like a butterfly.
Disgusting. I can't believe it. That's criminal damage.
Well,
I don't care. I thought it was funny. Loads of people. Yeah, I've got a BM on it.
People weren't some people weren't happy with that, but I thought it was odd, and I thought that I don't know what justification. Swain said, "I'm the officer in charge here at the moment, so I what I say goes." But she had graffitied the police car. That's all I'm saying.
The thing, isn't this what we want from police though? Don't we want them to use their judgment sometimes and say, looking at this, the benefits of me arresting you, charging you with a crime, putting you through the system, using the court's time so that we can decide what to do with you, and then picking a punishment, whether that's custodial, which of course it wouldn't be, or community service or something. Would you stop doing it if I just told you not to do it again? And is that actually what you just need? Mm. But it didn't really work this way, because she went and tried to murder a man on Friday. So maybe she should have put her in the slammer.
I was glad that Amy got away. I wasn't down for a story where Amy goes into a cell and then she has to go to a plea hearing. I wasn't feeling that.
I'm sure the police
narratively letting her go.
I'm sure the police use their judgment like this scores of times. I'm sure they do.
I suppose, like, if this was a court, if she was being tried, often the judges would say, well, you've done this, you clearly did it, so you're pleading guilty. I am obliged to give you this particular sentence. But maybe at this, I don't know. I'm not a police officer.
Probably it would be like trying to teach Mason French or something.
Anyway,
community service.
Anyway. Sean would be good at that. We heard from the beginning of the week. Sean's quite he's got quite a vocabulary going there.
It's actually pretty good. It's better than me.
Ooh la la. Anyway, Amy gets back to the street and she sees
I've got 22 hours in Duolingo now, Michael.
I know you have. It's very good.
22 hours.
Yes, 22 hours. It's very good. 22 hours in Duolingo. You should be fluent at this point. She bumps into Aadi. I loved all the Aadi and Amy stuff this week. I totally shipped these two. They're really, really sweet together. And the fact that it's not sexy as well, it's like really good friends, and they were linking arms in arms down the street, weren't they? I just loved it. It's really, really strong, supportive. We're good mates here.
I think this is good because this starts a relationship on the right foot here, because he rightly should be scared of her.
He knows what she's capable of now.
This is what the best relationships are like, isn't it? Where the man's slightly scared the whole time.
Well,
exactly.
I should know.
Yeah, that's why our marriage is so successful.
They end up in speed dial, and he admits at this point that he's been dumped by Courtney because he's been keeping that a secret, and he invites an "I told you so" from Amy, and then start to get a bit like hubba with them, don't they? And they're kind of giving each other a bit of a look, and things seem to look like they could be progressing further, although at this point they don't in the week.
Well, they're in public.
And what?
Disgusting.
I'm sure it wouldn't stop half the residents there.
Disgusting animals.
Summer comes in and chats to Aadi at the bar, and she says, "Look, I'm really worried about Amy. She really flew off the handle earlier with Mason. I'm worried that next episode she might have a whole half of an episode dedicated to her." And
I'm worried, Aadi, because I lent her my black duct tape.
and
I asked her what she needed it for, and she said a special project. And then she looked over my shoulder.
As we know, Summer is a very astute character, and she was bang on the money. Aadi, on the other hand, it's like, no, she's fine. She's taken back control. I reckon she's on the way up. And then that cuts to a scene of Amy turning up at a nightclub in a street that is definitely not the street just behind Roy's Rolls that's been used for random things. I think it was the same club that when she was spiked before she was going to.
She wasn't spiked in the club.
No. She went to the club afterwards, didn't she?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not Kitchener Street there.
I would love this. Can I just say, I would think this. I petitioned for Coronation Street to make it so there is a nightclub just the other side of Roy's Rolls. And like sometimes if Roy has a late like event where he does some kind of. Remember when he did this, the thing with Mary, and they were made an Italian theme night or something like that?
Yeah.
Imagine if he's just out like scraping into the bins and he looks up and there's just all these teenagers puking on the floor.
I think it's one night Roy needs to be out there putting the bins out and sees the club there. Is like, you only live once. And just goes in there.
He could make a fortune selling bacon rolls to all these people that are coming out drunk.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Come on,
but
Roy.
Anyway, for not opposite, outside the back of Roy's.
It's definitely not
just
there.
filmed there. And anyway, from the sounds of what the bouncer's saying on the door, she's been going there for a few nights on the trot. And she says, "What can I say? I like the warm drinks and the sticky carpet." I thought this was a really intriguing and very lovely teasy kind of end to an episode. I had no clue whatsoever where this story was going this week. And I knew that Elle had been going on, I think she was on Good Morning Britain or whatever the show is at the moment. I knew that she'd done that on Monday, but I didn't know that it was going to be club stuff. So when she turned up there on Wednesday and it was clearly there as a tease for later stuff, I was like, oh, what's happening here?
All the people.
And I really hope that this wasn't one of those teasers we could get it on Wednesday and then you got to wait 2 weeks to find out what she's been doing. They went straight into it on the Friday, which was brilliant pacing.
All the people that are mad about what Amy got up to here, if you weren't as mad about what happened to her originally, then you can sit down. Do you not think?
Oh, yeah.
There's loads of people that are outraged at the idea that a woman would be able to take revenge like this. And it is a fantasy. There aren't women doing this, but there are men doing what this guy was doing and what Aaron has done and what Max did. Use your outrage on that situation.
I bet there are some women out there who
well, tell me who they are and I'll join forces with them. Mind you, no one's letting me into a club.
Why?
I turn up to the club, I'm like, "Hello, I've come here for a drink and to enjoy the ambience." And he'll be like, "You're here to attack men, aren't you? With your evil cabal of women. You're not the sort of person who would normally come to a nightclub." "Oh no, no, this, and then throw sticky tape and run away.
They wouldn't let me in because I'd have the trainers on, and I hear that
no trainers.
Well, because I'm not, nor have I ever been a great frequenter of clubs. I was also a little intrigued.
Or a marine biologist.
I was also quite intrigued about. Is it bad that somebody goes to a club for 3 nights on the trot? Is that just not
normal?
what teenagers do? Not that she's a teenager. Oh, she's still a teenager. I can't remember.
I think if you want to make a proper go of it, you can't come back the next day. Because you'll probably still be hungover.
Well, so she's just riding on through, is she? I don't know, but, just the idea that it's a nightclub makes it as a dangerous place for me.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it's like the graffiti club all over again.
Yeah.
Ken's there going, this place. It's a den of iniquity.
So Friday then. This is the peak of this story for me. Tracy, there's a odd thing. What is it with Corrie writers, producers, whoever idea it is, wanting to put characters in comedy onesies? Is there like a deal on comedy onesies
Michael,
down at the
onesie
precinct?
is
You got
the new
Paul
fancy dress.
Paul in his uniform,
Unicorn.
unicorn uniform, and you got Tracy and Steve supposedly wearing leopard skin matching onesies. It was nothing more. They were. It was nothing more than the writers going, "Wouldn't that be funny if?" And it didn't quite hit for me. I didn't think we needed it, but anyway.
Sorry, Michael, some people find it comical.
I know. They're a bit worried, or especially Tracy is worried that Amy's been sneaking about. She's been coming back late. She's been going out early.
Has she done her essay yet?
She says she has, but she says she's on her way with it. But
I bet she hasn't even read the book.
The book of law. No,
not
business.
doing
The
law.
book of business. Yeah.
Is Alan Sugar's biography.
So Asher cajoles Amy into going out with her later, and Amy kind of talks about Aadi going along too. But when she invites him, he says he's not really in the mood after the breakup with Courtney, but he is still willing to volunteer his shoulder should she ever need somebody to listen.
Aadi, you can't be a shoulder volunteer.
You got to
That's
sign
an
up.
official thing.
Yeah.
You can't just be
Gotta
a
get the card.
freelance.
So Amy decides that she tells Asher that she's gonna try and buckle down a little bit more and not go out so much. But then she sees Dylan moaning on about being a victim of Mason and I always let people walk over me, and she's like, yeah, me too. I'm not gonna let that happen. I'm off out to my club again. It's also, Friday night after all.
I was gonna say, if I was looking for predators, Friday night would be my main. Friday and Saturday.
Well, that's why we do a podcast on Friday night, isn't it? Because we're too scared of the predators.
In nightclubs. Maybe, I'm wondering whether the people that were super triggered by this storyline never watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because this is just basically what she did, except she wasn't attacking rapists, it was vampires.
Yeah.
You guys obviously missed out on a massive core part of your childhood.
Maybe that'll be the next twist, because we had says it's strayed into the realm of fantasy somewhat.
I can definitely imagine.
What was this guy's name? Dan or something, was it? Maybe he's a vampire.
I think imagine Mason being a vampire.
Oh yeah, he got vampire written all over him, Mason. Look at those eyes.
Because this is the thing, in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, when the vampires turned, they had this horrible kind of like big meaty foreheads, horrible.
Yeah, Klingon.
They weren't like sexy, sparkly vampires like you guys grew up with.
Anyway, she's off to a club. She gets there and she gets chatting to a guy at a bar.
Why is he here? This man, what's he doing here?
He's there to introduce us narratively to the fact that this nightclub is supposedly a bit of a dodgy area, and there's full of guys hanging around only wanting one thing and maybe doing a bit of spiking to get there.
You're not allowed in a nightclub if you're married. Everyone knows this.
She was kind of coming on to him a little bit, wasn't she?
He's like, sorry, I'm married. Like,
I wonder whether we're going to see any more of him, because I'm not convinced that he served that much of a purpose so far, apart from to confuse me, because I spent a couple of scenes thinking that he was the same guy as the spiker, and you had to put me right.
They should have had different hair.
It's for face blindness again.
He should have had long blonde hair or something.
He should have had a big bushy beard. So she goes off and she sees somebody spiking a drink and taking it over to a lady, and this is where, at this point, all the filmic effects are really kicking in. But this is where it really worked. And I'm being mega hypocritical after having slated it for the last few weeks. But I think for this particular scene and the nightlife dream-like quality of it and drugged up euphoria, I think it fitted it absolutely perfectly.
I didn't mind it so much today.
It could have been fine without it, but
I
I wasn't watching it going, oh, no, we don't need it, we get it.
Cuts where it's like, here's a wheel and there's another wheel and here's a sink and another sink.
Yeah, it was because they had lots of, all of the scenes would go and run after each other in the second half of the episode were the same story, and Corrie's not used to doing scene to scene to scene in the same storyline.
Yeah.
So they had to show the passing of time by using fading car headlamps or whatever. But anyway, she sees this guy about to spike a woman, bashes into them, knocks the drink away, and says, "Oh, sorry, let me take you to the bogs and clean you up." So they go to the loo together, and Amy says that I know this guy. He chatted up.
Well, she doesn't. She dries her top off. She lets her put her top back on, and then she says, "Look, right, this is going to sound weird. Yeah, it is going to sound weird. You've had 5 minutes to say this. That would have been the first thing most normal people have said. As soon as you get in the toilet, go, oh my God, come here. That man was trying to spike you. That's what you say. You don't go, oh,
she was just waiting for the most dramatic moment to reveal it. She's building up the tension.
I don't get why there was this big pause, because it wasn't realistic.
I suppose it was because the writers wanted to have her, as soon as the speech had happened, go back out into the club rather than being told the story and then... I don't know. They probably could have done it another way. It didn't bother me so much. But anyway, she says that this guy chatted up my mate the other week and he spiked her. And the woman's like, I don't believe you. Amy says, well, I saw him doing it to you. I saw him dripping something into your drink. And the woman says, look...
Why did she lead with that? That's what I don't get. Why did she make herself sound so dishonest and weird and lie about it?
I don't know.
I would have been like, hey, this... Like, sorry I spilled a drink on you, but the man you're with put stuff in your drink and I think he's going to spike you.
Straight to the point.
Why build up all this?
Don't beat about the bush, Amy.
Excuse me, my name's Amy Bartholomew and I am an drink inspector and I have reason to suspect the man you're with has been... You know what? Just tell her straight. You have to make up a fake... alibi.
It turns out over the course of this conversation that the reason Amy has been coming to the club every night is to try and spot a spiker and basically give him a taste of his own medicine.
That's not possible.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, it's in order to give a man who's trying to...
Oh, for the rapey bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least get him a bit woozy. So they leave the bathroom. The woman goes off, and so
she believes Amy eventually.
Yeah, she does. She does eventually, and Amy.
I'm just gonna say, the idea that Amy had to say lots of stuff to convince this woman doesn't track to me, because most women would believe another woman who got her to one side and said to her, listen, I know I don't know you and I know you don't know him, but I'm telling you this is what I saw. Most women would 100% believe...
You reckon?
Yes, I'm telling you.
I don't know most women.
Most women would be like, okay, crap, I'm going. They wouldn't be like, I don't know, I need 3 pieces of evidence and a written statement from your mother.
I think that some women would still be like, no, I don't.
Some women
who are you to tell me that? I'll look
or
after
say
myself,
something
thanks.
like, you just fancy him yourself or something like that. But the vast majority of women would just believe you.
I don't know. But anyway, when this...
Well, I've been to loads of nightclubs, and I always say this to women in the bathroom.
I still at this point didn't know where it was going. And then when Amy goes and talks to the guy, and she says, oh, I hear you got a bit of a reputation of a sex pest. Anyway, you could do better than that drunken old slapper. And you were like, what did she just say?
What's
and I was
happening?
like, yeah, that doesn't... What's going on here? And then she introduces herself as Claire and starts to dance with him. And this is when we're like, oh...
What's she up to?
This is where she's Tracy Barlow.
What do you think the reference is to Claire? What do you think the name Claire is? That like a reference to something?
No, I don't think so.
Like, but why didn't she use like a cool, sexy name like my name's Cassandra?
She should have said Patience, shouldn't she?
Or Tracy. Get it?
Yes, I get it. So, Aadi and Asha, meanwhile, are back at home watching a dating show or something, and Asha kind of gets Aadi to admit that he and Amy like each other. Back at the club, Amy starts her plan of attack, which is when the guy brings 2 drinks back from the bar, she just sneaky swapperoos, so he ends up drinking the spiked drink. This is Stephen Reed and Rufus all over again.
It wasn't like it was, the genius crime of the century outwitting this mastermind of criminality, was it? She just swapped the drinks over. He should be looking what he's doing.
He should, yeah. To teach him a lesson.
I just looked up. So there is a movie called Promising Young Woman, which is a very similar kind of theme to this scenario here, where a woman takes revenge. And I just looked up because I wondered, is Claire a reference to that film? Looked up. Character's name is Cassie. So they couldn't have used that name, see?
No.
They probably thought, oh, use that name, and then they're like, that would just be confusing.
So she's done the old switcheroo on the drinks, and as the night goes on, he's getting woozier and woozier, and the club music's banging, and there's lots of like fading to different times of the night where he's getting worse, and she's there going ha 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 ha. And she ends up saying, look, let's go back to your house, okay? So she takes him to leave the club. He kind of plonks himself down on the step, and she rings up Aadi. I can't remember whether they made it clear. I assumed that it was a taxi that she was phoning. So, and then it was a surprise when Aadi turned up. I don't know whether I just missed something there.
This is my question. What was her plan? It can't have always been, I'll just call Aadi up. It also can't have been, I'll just get him in a car and ... question mark. What did she think? Do you think she just all went too far and she kind of thought it was a fun idea, and then she impulsively swapped the drinks around and didn't really ever think it would work, and then...
Yeah, what would she have done?
What was her plan? Like, I get her plan later on. It feels like it was to leave him...
Yeah, because then Aadi turns up. They gets this guy into the car because Amy says we're just going to take him home, but they end up getting lost, don't they? Or was this Amy's plan all along? Did she purposefully get Aadi to drive out into the sticks because she had plotted to leave him freezing out on a cold November night?
Aadi. The fact Aadi got lost is just so endearing and silly, isn't it?
And they weren't really lost, were they? They were on the teenage wasteland. We all recognised it.
But the thing is, right? If Amy truly had dumped this guy where she was planning to and left him there, he probably would have died.
I know, it's pretty cold out there.
Yeah.
We got yellow storm warnings down in Southampton at the moment. I don't know how it's doing up in Manchester.
It would have made more sense to just have left him in the club. Like, if you want to go as far as to drug him, just leave him in the club.
It would have backfired on her if she'd have taken him back home and then like, I'm gonna make him think that we slept together, and then she lies there, and then the next morning he wakes up and she's like, yeah, that's right, and he goes, score. It's like,
Michael.
no, that's not what you're supposed to be getting out of this.
No, you're supposed to be humiliated.
Yeah. But so she takes him to the teenage wasteland. Aadi is like, what the hell are you doing?
She puts tape on his mouth.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are you doing?
I don't know what was...
He would have choked to death on his own vomit.
I suppose that was... Yeah. I suppose that would have been if
what was the purpose of
it would all
that?
come out of his nose. It was
to
stop him crying for help. If she was...
If he's unconscious, he's not crying for help.
No, but you might have woken up.
If he wakes up, he'll take the tape off his face.
I don't know. If you might have put tape around his hands.
She's bonkers, this woman.
She has lost it a little bit. And Aadi says as much.
Good for her.
But at all this time I was watching, I was thinking, not only am I enjoying this, but how dark is this going to go? And as fun as it might have been, I think that it would have probably been going too far if she had actually killed this guy.
No, it wouldn't have been fun.
We've literally just got rid of Stephen. I don't think the time is quite right yet for another killer, and that would have put a big time bomb on Amy, wouldn't it, as a character, if she'd have been responsible for this man's death. And I know that he brought a lot of this on himself, and he shouldn't be a naughty man.
Shouldn't be naughty.
But if Amy had left him there to die, I don't think there would have been a whole lot of defending her. She would have probably gotten... I mean, what she even did, there's not, if you're thinking realistically, not a whole lot to defend her, because I think if the police got hold of her, I don't think they would look too kindly on what she's done.
What did she really do?
She...
You said she drugged him, but I'm saying...
No, I didn't say she drugged him.
When we were talking earlier, when we were watching it, you said she drugged him, and I said he drugged himself.
No, I said that she allowed him, she knowingly allowed him to
I don't think that's a
drug
crime,
himself.
Is it a crime? Right, so can you answer, like, please don't tell me it's a crime. Don't burst my bubble here. I want it to not be a crime. That if somebody tries to... I think this should be written into the law immediately. We've got so many stupid laws in the book and people get away with so many things. Can we not write it into law? If you try to poison someone and drink it yourself, it's fair cop.
Yeah, the fair cop clause.
The fair cop clause.
She did, she swapped the drinks, which involved pushing the drink that she knew was drugged towards him. Is that not giving him the drugs. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, Gemma. I'm
Okay,
just
so
being the
it
angry
probably-
tipster Bob.
Honestly, if it really, really boiled down to proving intent, you probably would say that proves intent because she pushed the drink to him. But if there were 2 drinks and she just picked up the one that didn't have the liquid in it, the drug in it, without touching his drink, it would probably be one of those things where it's a technicality whereby you didn't do anything except pick up a drink.
Tell you what, if you've got Swain that's interviewing you, you're going to get off anyway, aren't you?
So it's like, oh, forget it. Everyone gets one.
I wonder whether Amy would be able to say, I didn't know the drinks were drugged.
Of course she would. This is the thing. There's no way.
I just saw that there was a little bit more drink in the other glass, and I thought I would take it for myself.
She doesn't need to
I
explain
preferred
anything.
that colour of straw that he had.
I don't think that there's any way to prove anything that she's done wrong here. She picked up a different drink.
It depends as well whether the woman gets back involved
prove?
again. Because if the man knew the woman and maybe it gets into the news or something that what happened, and the woman says, "Well, I knew that Amy knew that he was a spiker." I'm really, really curious to see where it goes. I'm sure she's going to get away with it, but I would also say that it's not unlikely that she's going to be have the shot light shone on her.
I can't see how letting somebody drink a drink that they drugged themselves is such a big deal. There are 2 different things we're talking about, right? There's the world of law in the real world, and there's the world of soap justice. I'm talking about soap justice.
In
here.
soap justice, she was absolutely. I was cheering her right along.
She should have taken that drink.
If it was my friend in the real world, I might have said, "You should have just gone home."
I would have said, "Why'd you go to the nightclub without me? Why are you trying to hunt men down and punish them for their evil crimes without me? You know I love that stuff."
I suppose if she'd have just gone home, though,
it would have been boring.
But he could have just carried on spiking other people, couldn't he?
Well, this is the thing. The thing. He really did it once.
Think about all the other women in the nightclub that she saved by doing that. By disabling him for the evening.
Well, exactly. He's been taken out of action now. Roll him in the canal.
We were literally saying to each other, is she going to... Before the idea of the leaving him out in the cold to die of hypothermia came up, we were like, is she going to, cut off his nadgers?
Yeah, cut his nadgers.
Is she going to mutilate him somehow?
Yeah, and put him in his mouth.
We had Aadi.
Can I just interject here and explain to everybody? I have been watching horror movies for the last month and a half.
Yeah, and that's tame compared to some of the stuff you've been watching.
Tainted my judgment.
Well, I love that Aadi was involved in this because
he's cut his nadgers off.
No, well, it brought me back to that brilliant scene earlier this year where he wrote, was it liar or guilty or something on Aaron's head, and so he in a way,
he's an ally,
and he got Aaron drunk, didn't he?
Yeah, so he should be
to teach him a lesson.
He and Amy
so he's
be
no
like
better than she is. Although maybe he's learned that's it's not the right way. He's reflected on it since then.
They're like a sexy team of justice warriors, social justice warriors, spiking men in clubs.
I would like she could have carved something into his forehead with a scalpel, maybe just
she
to
should get
up
a tattoo
the game
gun.
a little bit. Yeah, she could.
What should she write on it? Something NT.
NT, yeah. Anyway, Aadi at this point, going back to the actual show, is saying, "You nut job, what are you doing?" in the nicest possible way. I think you need to talk to somebody because you're clearly not dealing with what happened to you earlier this year in a sense, in a safe way.
This is how you can tell if someone's your true friend.
Why?
If you pitch up in a car with a man tied up with tape on his mouth and your friend doesn't say, "Well, how are we going to kill him?" you know they're not your friend.
So do you reckon you're not an Amy and Aadi shipper? Can't get that out.
If Amy was like, "Here's this lad," I'd be like, "Right, so running him over, are we putting him in the canal?
We did talk just on the bonus podcast this week about having a duo, a murderous duo, didn't we? Maybe Aadi and Amy could be it. But no, he's saying, look, we need to go to the hospital. We need to tell the police what he's up to. No, very sensible, Aadi.
I know, but it's so boring.
It's the right thing to do. I very much in support.
This is the man who ran off with his boss's girlfriend, and now he's suddenly deciding to do the right thing. It wasn't the right thing when you were shacking up.
He's
with
learned a
Courtney.
lesson from that as well. He's done lots of thinking this year. Back at number 1, Tracy and Steve are up late with popcorn, and Tracy's worried about where Amy is. And so there was a few good lines about her realising what a tearaway she must have been for Deirdre, and how on earth did she ever put up with me, and I think I'm turning into her. But eventually, Steve is able to persuade her to go to bed.
I just love the fact that Amy's turning into Tracy, because
And Tracy's turning into Deirdre.
do you think, hang on, here's a good question. Do you think that what Charlie did to Tracy is worse than what this bloke did to Amy and presumably other women?
What he did to Amy, or what he would do?
Well,
because Charlie's main
Charlie didn't really do anything to Tracy. He called her a cow.
he cheated on her with Maria, didn't he?
But that's not
and he was, he
not
slept
a capital offence.
He was sleeping with other women. He didn't want to have Amy there in the house.
I'm just saying, like, what? Which of these is which of these is more justified than the other? You don't necessarily have to answer, but do you not think that's an interesting question? Is there something genetic here where this like family of women just go off the handle at the slightest?
It is, yeah. I do like the ounce of Tracy that we've seen in Amy, because she was always a bit of a young Blanche, wasn't she, when she was little? And Amy was, and it didn't feel like she was taken after her mum very much. But
now she is.
She's rubbed off on her a little bit.
She's trying to murder men.
But the difference is, I suppose, Amy has always been the very sensible teenager, hasn't she? She's not in the same way as Asher and Summer. But yeah, this isn't the sort of thing that Amy would have done a few years ago. But I've always been a fan of Amy, and I liking how this is giving her a little bit of spark and a little bit of bite. It's just like, don't mess with me. And that's what Corrie's about: women that you don't mess with.
Yeah, women you don't mess with, because they'll cut off your todger and make you eat it. I want a spin-off movie, kind of like The Craft, or I know what you did last summer, or one of these kind of like Mean Girls meets Scream or something, with Amy, Asher and Summer all killing a man and then hiding it.
I bet you do. It's not going to happen. They get to the hospital, don't they? And there's a nurse there and a very earnest looking man pushing a wheelchair going, I'm in Coronation Street, don't screw this up.
Got to save the man.
They take him through, and the nurse is like, thank goodness you brought him here. He could have died if you didn't. So
well, they
congrats.
give him and Aadi goes, I found this in his pocket.
Oh yeah, they do, don't they?
And they give her the drug so she knows what he's taken, and she's like, I wonder why he had this. Come on, woman. I was expecting her to be like, maybe we'll put him.
Yeah, it was the classic date rape drug that he had, wasn't it? So is she just thinking that he's got high on his own supply?
I don't think it's very unusual for people to get mixed up if they're drunk. If you're in a bar and you're putting stuff in people's drinks but you're drunk yourself, I don't see how it's impossible for you to have picked up a drink and drunk it. I bet this happens.
Amateurs. I would say that Stephen. I would say that Stephen Reed would never do this, but he did drink Carla's cup of tea that one time, didn't he? So we see more scenes of time passing in the hospital as Amy and Aadi are waiting to find out what's happened to this guy.
Well, they also get told they've got to stay there because the police are going to talk to them.
Yeah. That's right. And then is that when Swain turns up? Then I think. Oh no, there's Amy's kind of says to Aadi that I've made a massive mistake here. That I need to be. I shouldn't have got you involved. I should be the one that's taking the rap for it. She's feeling a little bit guilty and realizing that she's in over her head somewhat. And then in strides Swain is like, whatever you got, I don't believe you. This is the second time in as many episodes that you've been caught up with some dodgy business with drugs. Sorry, it wasn't drugs last time. Just dodgy crime business. What the hell are you doing, lady? But Aadi, noble Aadi, kind of jumps in before Amy has a chance to say anything and says, "No, it's true. He was. I can't. What was the version that he said? I don't even remember.
He drank a drink he shouldn't have drunk.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, he was just a lightweight or something. I don't know. Then we frisked him and we found the drugs in his pocket.
They do say that he was trying to drug
Do
and...
they?
Yeah,
Did
because Amy gets told by Swain, well, we can't charge him for anything because there's no evidence he did it.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
That's
he didn't
right,
commit
that's
a crime. So... And also, when this guy wakes up, you better hope that he corroborates what you just told me, which I can't remember what it is that you said, because Michael didn't write it down. But you better hope that he says the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You better hope he was watching.
So
this is interesting
let's
to me.
hope that the guy doesn't wake up and tells me that you were trying to drug him.
That there's ever an innocent or good reason for anybody to have this drug, especially in a nightclub.
It's a bit of a giveaway that you're up to nefarious business, isn't it, really?
To have this drug on you. It's illegal to carry lots of other things that can be used in crimes. Like, you can't carry knives around with you for a certain length.
No.
Because there's no... I mean, there are some good reasons, maybe, but there's not very many innocent ones.
Yeah, so he should be at least able to be charged with intent.
No, hang on. Yeah, but what's the law here? Is this another example of whereby the law is in no way protecting women?
I don't know.
I would men, because it was, David was also...
I would have thought that
wasn't he?
He was. Yeah, it was the same stuff. Exactly the same stuff.
It's not protecting people who could be victims of this crime here. Why on earth are you allowed to carry it around?
But I don't know whether you are. I would assume that possession of that is not going to... You're not going to be looked upon favourably by the law. Why didn't Swain
say, "Oh yeah, we can charge him with holding it, but we can't charge him with"?
Maybe I can't. I don't remember what she said. I don't remember.
Okay, Michael, but listen, I'm telling you, I don't remember that she said that, which is different from saying I don't remember what happened.
Okay. So Amy and Aadi get home, and Amy's still fallen over us have to apologise to him, and he says, "Look, it's okay. I'm your mate." I loved it. He was like, "Oh, all this for the past summer, I've been caught up in this romance with Courtney. I've been chasing some other guy's wife, and I've not been there to support you. I'm really, really sorry about that." And it kind of has ended as there, because Tracy comes downstairs and Aadi slopes off. Amy says, "I'm done with all this drugging stuff, I promise," and it's left there. But I loved how this was tied in with the Courtney story, and how Aadi realised it. What was that the point of the Courtney story? After all, do you think, to give Aadi a distraction, which will eventually lead to him getting together with Amy? Does the fact that he was distracted by her for so long mean that their friendship can only be stronger, or their romance can only be stronger? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, you need to... there's got to be a reason they did that storyline.
Yeah, there's got to be. Have you just been doing a bit of Googling?
I just looked it up in it. GHB and GBL, which is not... I haven't got time enough to look in what the difference is. Are Class B drugs, but GBL is available for legitimate use in the industry, but if you possess or supply them knowing or believing they will be swallowed or ingested, that you're committing an offence.
Right.
I don't see how you can say it's not something that you would look into charging somebody with to have it in a nightclub. No?
No, I agree.
It just feels like one of these things where there are certain geographical restrictions to having some things. Like, you can't take a firework in to say hello to the king, can you?
Just in case.
Surely. So possessing it in a nightclub should be just point blank illegal without having to prove intent.
Yeah.
Surely, I don't know. Apparently I'm a fascist, though. No, I'm just saying, I've been called that on...
I know you are. You're not.
Maybe I am a little bit. I don't mind.
So.
Someone's got to be.
So, Gemma.
What?
You enjoyed this story this week.
I love this. I don't take this as seriously as some people seemed to, or as personally. For some reason, I don't feel threatened by a woman making men take their own medicine, quite literally. But if you are, then I feel you've got other problems to worry about. In a way,
it is an issue story.
But it's
because
silly.
It's all tied in.
I think some people are upset because it does feel like a really serious issue story has kind of got turned into this bizarre revenge fantasy that's a bit hyperbolic and overblown. But I love it. What do you think?
Yeah, same. It's just unexpectedly brilliant. This is my favourite Amy This is one of my favourite Amy moments ever.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
I said earlier, I think it was on the short, that this is like her first proper grown-up story, and you said you weren't sure, but I've kind of felt that everything up to this point, Amy's been a young girl still. She's been a teenager. And it felt like tonight she was being an adult. It felt like she was being a grown woman. She was taking control. She wasn't just the little girl who was, raised up on the street, born to Tracy, and we've seen her grow up. This was her going out clubbing and doing grown-up things, like making a man drink his own spiced drink. This is a rite of passage
for all women. We all have a point in when we transition. I mean, people say, it's when you get your first period, or maybe if you have a baby. No, it's when you nearly kill your first man.
Yeah.
Then you're a real woman.
I think that from this point onwards, she's just made the transition very, very nicely, and I hope and I think that the future for Amy is very, very bright, and I hope they don't screw it up, and I really hope that her and Aadi get together because her and Aadi are so bloody cute together.
But where's this going though? What is she going to do now? Is this as she said?
She says at the end, "I'm done with this.
I'm not doing this again.
Got it out my system." But she can't have done.
Don't let Aadi crush your spirit with his boring practical nature and crimes and all that stuff.
She's clearly not over what happened with her and Aaron earlier this year, nor should she be. But having a near miss with the law like this isn't necessarily going to cure you or make you, feel okay about it, is it?
No, I know, but I love it.
What do you think is going to happen with the police? Is she going to... I don't need her to go to jail. I don't need her to be in court. I don't need any of that. I just want this to turn into lovely Amy and Aadi's story now.
Isn't this just again like what happened with Mason, where she's provoked into action that then she gets in trouble for, but the guy's like, because Mason was like being filed to her, and she didn't even hit him. She just swatted him. And then she's the one that gets told off by the police.
Do you think we'll get...
This one here, this man tried to drug and rape her, and I just think he's going to keep his mouth shut. I don't think anything... I think Swain's going to be like, look, we couldn't get a word out of him, so...
Do you think that we could end up having a scene with Amy and Tracy? I feel like Tracy will find out about
Tracy's
it.
going to be like, don't do it.
I'd love for her to draw from her own experience and say, it's all very fun and games, and I like to bring it up every now and then that I'm a murderer, but it's not worth it for those few months that I spent in prison.
She'll say, you can't expect the police to mess up a second time. I was lucky when they bungled the evidence.
Right. Great stuff. I've put the Isla story next just because it seems to be somewhat tangentially related, because it's some more teen girl action. So even though it's not the most thrilling of stories, Gemma, tell us about what Asha and Nina have been getting up to with her new friend Isla this week.
I don't want to see a love triangle with Asha, Nina and Isla. I want to see a murder club.
There's no clue whatsoever at the moment that Isla is on the same bus as Nina and Asha. Although I still completely agree with you that it feels like it should be going that way. Asha's clearly obsessed with Isla. She's kind of fangirling after her, isn't she? She's like that.
We've got loads of fans. They're not trying to get in bed with us, I hope.
I don't think at the moment Ash is trying to get in bed with Isla. She is looking up to her as somebody on her course that's so inspirational, but it's turning into a bit of a crush, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah.
And one thing I did enjoy about this story this week is how I think both of them, in their own individual ways, Asha and Nina, were realising that their relationship is kind of on the rocks, and that's kind of a bit sad.
Yep.
So anyway, let's have a quick rundown.
That's what happens in Coronation Street when you literally don't have any relationship-based scenes.
Yeah.
Because although Asha and Nina have spent more time together, which is obviously trying to...
Well, they have a little bit recently, haven't they?
Yeah, it's obviously trying to set up what's going to happen.
But it's too little too late.
But again, yeah. But a lot of the times, and I've heard other people say this too, so it's not just us, until recently, I've forgotten that they were going out. I hadn't forgotten they were going out, but Corrie has made no effort. You would not know. No effort. If you just started watching it, you wouldn't know
that
they were a gay couple, would you? You wouldn't know.
I don't see very much romantic chemistry between them at all. They kind of snuggle up on the sofa, and quite honestly, they do just look like mates.
Yeah, look, I don't have this. I've never been like this with my friends, and I don't know whether it's just a TV thing. But on TV, girls of younger age do cuddle up together when they're not going out.
I think that, if we compare to Billy and Paul, say, and they had those lovely scenes this week and last week, there really does feel like there's a nice little spark between them. There hasn't always.
What? Who are you talking about?
Billy and Paul.
Right.
But with Asher and Nina, I've just never really felt it. And we also know that Coronation Street can seemingly very easily make a couple immediately look like they're destined for each other, like we saw with Nina and Seb.
Yeah, so it's the same
within the course of 2 weeks, the whole internet was rooting for Nina and Seb, and we all know what happened there. And I'm saying with Amy and Aadi, looking at them, it's like, oh, they're so brilliantly sweet together, but it just hasn't quite clicked. And I wonder whether they're ending this because the showrunners are also thinking, yeah, that's not working, is it? Or I don't know. So come on.
I'll tell you what happened then.
What's been going on?
On Monday, Asher tells Nina that they were on a call with she and Isla last night, and she doesn't want to go into it, but she'll talk about it later. And Nina's miffed off because Asher's supposed to be spending the day with her. We also have bits of Aadi in this story because he's still trying to hide the fact that he's not going out.
Yeah, there was a scene outside the shop, wasn't there, where Dev comes out
from Dev and Asher because he doesn't want them to find out. So Asher and Nina end up going to Chariot Square, planning what to do, and they're deciding to eat. What are they having? Pancakes.
Oh yeah.
And Nina sees Courtney and Darren, who is obviously Courtney is Aadi's ex and Darren is her husband, and they're back together now. And Nina can't let Asher see this because she was told by Aadi last week to keep it a secret that they've split up.
I thought there were some really funny scenes there where where Nina was desperately trying to stop Asher from seeing them. That was fun.
Didn't work.
No, I was also pleasantly surprised that we got to see Courtney again, because it felt like the last time she came to say goodbye to Aadi, that would be the last time she would be gracing our screens.
Wonder if she's going to turn up again.
Maybe.
So Asher's like, you're making me feel rushed here, because Nina's wolfing down her pancakes so they can leave, so that she won't see Courtney. But Asher just turns around and they're there. And so she storms over to try to give them a piece of their mind. And they're kind of confused because they don't know why she doesn't know. And Nina has to explain to Asher, because Asher thinks Courtney's cheating on Aadi with Darren, and Darren's like, no mate, we're married. She's left him. We're together now. And then Asher gets mad that Nina kept it quiet. So when they get back home, Asher's still mad. Aadi comes in to see what's going on, and Asher's like, I can't even deal with you, and she storms off and she goes to see Isla. Nina heads out to find her, and Dev asks Aadi what's been going on. And he's very sympathetic, and he doesn't say "I told you so." Like Aadi was worried about.
That was so
gives him
sweet,
a hug.
so brilliant, because
probably calls him honey.
He did.
Yeah.
Dev has been very vocal about his hatred of the idea of Courtney and Aadi together, and those seen a couple of weeks ago where he marched over to the flat and says, "You live in a dump." So he was really set up to say, "I told you so, Aadi. What have I said all along?" But he's not, because he's lovely. It was just giving him a hug was brilliant stuff.
Like that, I say. So Nina and Asher eventually meet up together and apologise to each other, and Asher's telling Nina not to be jealous of Isla, but she's saying, look, before you got into all this stuff, we were really close with each other, but now I feel like we're distant. And so Asher says, well, why don't we all just three meet up together and you'll get to know her and see how great she is. Watch out, Asher, maybe Nina will go out with Isla.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, Nina says to Asher to invite Aadi to the thing that they're having later, and maybe they could set him up with Isla. And he says, no, I don't want to, please don't play Cupid.
He's not really ready to move on to someone else.
But he goes along to this lunch date at the bistro anyway. Sorry, the cat's trying to eat a giant
We still haven't put our Halloween decorations
She's
away. They're all
eating.
sitting here in front of them. We've got a giant spider web and Abby's just attacking it.
Now she's putting her head through the web.
Abby, what are you doing?
God. Okay.
Sorry. Distract. I'll tell you what, Nina would love
She's
that giant
popping
spider web.
She's biting it.
Right, come on. Let's move on.
What's happening? Right, so where are we? So Nina and Asher just feel like gooseberries.
Abby, you're ruining the podcast. Stop this.
She got a red coat. He's just eating it.
Basically, Asher and Isla are just chatting away with each other, aren't they? 10 to the dozen. And Nina and Asher are just like... Stupid cat.
Okay, right. So
sorry. Yeah.
They feel like gooseberries because
Yes.
Isla and Asher are just kind of just chatting like old friends. And Aadi's like, I'm not ready for any of this. So he leaves them to it. And Nina just kind of separates herself and she's grumpy and drinking, and Isla's talking about her relationships.
The withering looks that she gives both of them that neither of them notice. That
She's
Nina's like...
finally harnessing that inner goth.
She is. She really is.
So she's been far too cheerful for too long to be a true goth. So it's not just the fashion, Michael. So Isla's talking about her past relationships. She definitely mentions that she was dating a man. And that she just felt she was going through the motions. And I was just like, Maybe I can relate.
I know what that means.
Later on, at home, Asher is still going on about Isla and hospitals. And Nina really is not interested. Then Asher goes to put her PJs on. And Nina's left going, oh no, hope it's not a onesie. No, she's worrying about the state of their relationship.
Yeah.
They're growing apart, Michael.
I enjoyed this stuff. I don't think it was in any way, shape or form a main story of the week. I'd say where's this going? But it feels like it's either just going to be a case of, well, this is what splits up Asher and Nina, or maybe it's like, no, this is what makes them stronger. What if you were Nina? What would you do in this situation? Would you fight for her?
I would just continue to alienate her by rolling her eyes at all of her stories and tell her that she's not better than me just because she's a paramedic and I give out wooden spoons with funny slogans on them.
Yeah, I agree. No, I don't think there's anything to say about this particularly. Did you when it came out that Nina had been keeping it quiet about Aadi and Courtney being in a relationship together? Would you say that Asher was rightly miffed about this? Should Nina have told her? Sorry, the cat has now just leapt across the room and pounced on the spider web. This is entertaining stuff.
Oh no! Oh my god. Okay. No, she's alright.
Sorry.
She just put her head right through it.
I hate it I really do hate it on podcasts when I
think it's fun and
when
charming.
the hosts talk about things that they can see and nobody else can. But honestly, this is
cat's
gold.
real though.
It's more interesting than this storyline was fun.
It's okay, but it just feels a bit.
It was
like being
it was
asked again to care about a relationship that we've not invested
but it was
in.
characters that I do care about. I love Nina. I love Asher. Aadi was involved here as well, so that's what kept this story going for me. The fact that I really do like all of these characters, but
I think one of the problems here is that we don't know who Isla is and we don't care about her and we're not in love with her either.
Yeah,
like sometimes, lots of times on Corrie and soaps, they'll make the characters have an affair or fancy someone who's a regular character, and even if it doesn't work, at least in theory there's a chance to demonstrate the chemistry. And you can say, oh gosh, actually, Asher and Isla are much better together. We only got to see a very small amount of Isla and Asher together, and they did seem to make a better couple because Nina was just sulking.
I would have thought that Asher, she's always struck me as a bit more intelligent and perceptive, and she probably would have noticed that Nina was feeling left out.
Yeah.
She's not dumb. She's the smart twin.
They are both, Nina and Asher are quite empathetic and emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, and the fact that when they were back home and Nina was literally yawning as Asha was telling her even more stories, and Asha just got narky about it. I would have thought that really she would have said, look, sorry babe, or whatever she would say. I have been talking about her too much. You're the one that I love.
Yeah, but equally, I could see Asha going, look, you're not happy for me. For the first time in my life, I found something I think I'm good at and I enjoy and is valuable.
And Asha has felt down about herself for a while, hasn't she? Through all the skin lightening stuff.
Yeah.
She had such low self-esteem, and now she's finally, you're right, found something that's good for her.
And it's also, this never really comes up that much in Corrie, but she's lived in such a small world. She lives on the street, she works on the street, her dad's there, her brother's there. She goes to school around the corner. Everyone she's ever known lives in.
Yeah, so now she's finally getting to see a bit more of the real world.
Seeing the world, and
she's one of the rare people that's got a job off the street.
Yeah, but it's really kind of exciting and sweet and endearing to see a young woman venturing out into the world and really connecting and like loving and feeling like she's doing something important. But unfortunately, Nina can't see that as a good thing because she's just jealous. And I wonder how much of it is jealousy about Asha having an opportunity that she hasn't had. Because she's had a really horrible life, Nina. Yeah. I know that they're both in the Dead Mums Club, but that happened much younger with Asha, and she's been more cocooned within the Allahan family unit, and she's kind of cushioned by wealth, and she's got a good support system. And Nina's had a really hard time. Boyfriend died, her dad died, her mum died. She was bullied and driven out of her home. She was attacked because of what she looks like, and she hasn't had a chance to blossom or do anything different.
Do you think that Nina's a little bit jealous that Asha's got a friend, which is something
Isn't
that Nina's...
sort of what I'm saying?
Yeah, Nina's never really had anyone like that. I mean, the closest has been Roy, maybe.
Well, she's got her bat-watching group.
Yeah, but I don't know whether Nina is the sort of person that would say, I don't really need a friend.
Yeah.
She's happy to be... she's very, very introverted. And maybe she likes the idea that she's just in this little cocoon with her and Asha. Yeah, I think and now actually Asha is branching out to
and she's threatened.
Yeah.
And that's even before you take into account wondering if Asha fancies her. Fancies Isla, because that's kind of beside the point, really. Yeah. If you take into account all the other very sensible reasons, maybe not so, what I mean, realistic reasons why she would be miffed.
I love these characters. Ian McLeod has invested so much in these late teens, early 20s characters, and it's so paying off. We've got Aadi, we've got Asha, we've got Nina, we've got Amy. There's Summer, who's obviously a bit of a weak link in our opinion.
What are you going to call her a weakling?
It really does bode well for the future that the next bunch of these characters are going to have all the storylines, I would hope, thrown at them over the next few years, and I am very much happy with this. Okay, so the Paul storyline then, we've said before, one of our favourites of the year, if not the favourite of the year, and it continued to be lovely. Didn't quite reach the highs of the hilarious bathroom scene this week, but it was still some great stuff. So Bernie is looking miserable over breakfast. She knows that she's been to the police station, and she's going to get maybe a little bit in trouble over the whole laptop debacle. So Dev announces to Nina and Asha that Bernie is in court later today for handling stolen goods. He's not happy with this at all.
Why can't Swain just let everyone off?
Yeah.
Say, look, it's for the drama. You did it for the drama, right? That's okay then.
The girls say, look, honestly, Bernie, it's better if you're open about this, about what's going on. You should probably tell everybody. But she's clearly very, very stressed out about the whole thing because she knows that if she gets sent down to prison, she's not going to potentially see Paul again out.
No.
Or even if she does, she's missed. She's going to have missed a huge chunk of his remaining months. So, Summer gets a text on the family chat later wanting a family get-together, and she has to go out though, so Billy and Paul say that they'll let her know if something important happens. Meanwhile, Billy's incredibly stiff after the bath time incident, I've written here, which is, I guess, didn't have any storyline consequences, but it was quite funny. The family gather and Bernie tells them about what's been going on, and she says she's planning to plead not guilty. This was the whole crux of the Monday episode in this story, wasn't it? How is Bernie going to plead? She says, if I plead not guilty, it's going to be my word against Big Garth's. They can't send me down for that. I'm totally safe. I just think it's going to be thrown out. And do you think that she was in denial there, or did she honestly think that it would be as simple as that? I think she probably did.
I think. What do you mean? Yeah.
That she thought it would be as simple as that.
Some people just don't have anxiety.
Well, she it's not like she thinks that bad things can happen to her, because obviously everything that Paul.
I know, but I don't think she sits around and worries about stuff. I think she just thinks everything will work out. Yeah,
she's been a ducker and a diver before, hasn't she? And she's generally got away with it before. She's been able to evade the law.
About getting in trouble with the police.
Yeah. So anyway, she arrives at the court and meets up with Bland Joel, and he says, "Sorry, Bernie, you're going to have to plead guilty. Look at the evidence that's against you. It's pretty damning.
There's a picture
the judge isn't going to look favourably if you if you're not seen to be taking this seriously."
There's a picture of you giving money to a man. We asked the man what the money was for, and he said stolen laptops.
Yeah. Cut and dry.
And we've got a woman who gave you the stolen laptops.
And obviously Bernie at this point says, I can't plead guilty because then I'll be sent down, and I can't be, not with what's going on with Paul.
And then Joel says, well, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
So charges are read to Bernie in court, and she starts to say, well, you know what, Judge, me old mucker. It's a victimless crime, isn't it? Just got a few laptops. It's got a bit of money for it. So what? And the judge no. Not having any of this.
Oh, she was not having it.
She was not. She was no laid-back swain, was she, this judge? So Bernie has to... Well, she pleads guilty, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's good.
She realises that she's not going to be able to have this judge round.
She can't gab her way out of it.
No. So the family are all there thinking that she was going to plead not guilty, and they're somewhat taken aback by this plea.
Right? So we all watch these, and it's a joke now on the talent shows, all the different talent shows where they come out, and instead of giving everybody their performance, they first have to tell you their sad story as to why they're there.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing it for my mum because dying of cancer, or my uncle's was eaten by a fish, or
I'm surprised that Bernie didn't get Paul to take along a little tape player with some sad music all queued up. This
would be the perfect time to use your Britain's Got Talent sob story, why you should let me through to the next round, to tell them what her backstory is and why she can't go to prison.
Yeah. But Judge says, sorry.
Judge goes,
yeah. She agrees that they can have an adjournment for a bit, so because Joel wants to discuss the ramifications of the sentencing. So during this, Bernie says, look, Paul, I couldn't have just said it's a fair cop. It's... Oh, no.
No, she's saying I did that. She tried to make it seem like I know what I did was wrong.
Yeah. That's right. That's it. If I confessed up to it, I would get less time than if I was sent down. You never know. I might just get a community order.
Maybe the community order will be fitting wider doors in people's homes, and then Ed can show her how to do it.
The judge gets back and says, well, I've noted your concern, Bland Joel, though working with Shelley could be seen as exploiting a dying woman for her own gain.
I thought that was... I didn't even think of that. I was like, oh, damn, that's true.
Yep. An offence of this nature impacts on a huge number of people.
Not a victimless crime.
And given your past criminal record, Bernie, can't really see you as any kind of pillar of the community. I have got no option other than a custodial sentence.
What?
And I always forget when this happens on Corrie that they often don't get the sentencing straight away. And we still don't know, do we? And a whole week's gone by now. So the court's adjourned again for a pre-sentence report.
Why are they just having all these breaks? What are they doing? Eating biscuits?
I think they're catching up on the Big Brother live stream because it's all kicking off in the final
The judge
week,
is like,
apparently.
you should be watching these live streams. I tell you what, the drama's in there, and they always edit out the good stuff for TV.
Paul does the classic calling out of, "You can't do this to me, mum. I'm dying of MND." The judge says, "Sorry about that, but
Take it out with the NHS.
not my problem.
Not
my
me."
problem, Mr. Foreman. Sit down, please." So, back at home, Bernie tells the family that Joel thinks that she might get a suspended sentence, and they don't believe her. And she says, "Look, to be honest, there's a good chance that I could get 6 months in prison."
Oh, how long did you say you had, Paul?
How long was Paul in prison? I don't know.
No, I mean, how long you got left to live?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. He's got 6 months.
It's like,
that was a sad
That's
scene.
sad, because that's coincidentally how long they think I've got.
Poor Bernie going, "Oh, I'm so sorry,
This is
son."
awful. This made me feel sick.
It was really
made me feel
gutting.
sick, because I was thinking, there's literally, like, someone could just scoop you up, and I know she did a crime, but just the idea that you can get scooped up and taken away from your dying
It really
son.
is utter misery, but it's the weirdly because I'm loving the story and everything about it. It's very, very compelling. It's not misery that I just want to turn over. I'm like, I really feeling the hopelessness, even though it's so kind of contrived and like, of course something's going to make it even worse. I just don't know how she's going to get out of this. It feels completely and utterly hopeless, doesn't it? Or if they do say that she has got a suspended sentence, the problem will be, although it will be happy, it will feel like a bit of a cop out.
Yeah, she's
I kind
got
of
to go in.
now she's got this hanging over her. I kind of need to see her go to prison.
Yeah, because I want to see the scene of her crying.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if she goes in for 6 months, because is that the maximum?
What, for her?
Yeah, or just.
Well, this is what she thinks that Joel reckons that she might get.
But does that not mean 3 months?
Possibly.
Like, because you get away. I don't understand how this works.
But even so, when there's only, how long's Paul got? 6 to 12 months. 6 months, 3 months. That's a lifetime. That's a huge amount.
But he's also
where you're not going to be with your dying son.
Going to even be able to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
So many terrible things will happen.
It's not like he can't visit her, but really, she's going to go in and come out to a very, very different son. And the idea of that is just killing her inside.
Do you think they'll have a horrible scene if she does go in of Paul being humiliated, going through the procedure, like the
barriers?
Yeah, they'll because I know sometimes they'll take your wheelchair apart and things. Like I've heard, I don't know whether it was at a prison or an airport or something, but I've heard of people taking electric wheelchairs apart to look for contraband and then not putting them back or breaking them. So maybe we would get that. Like, how do you get treated as a disabled person who is visiting a relative in prison? I bet it's not that nice.
Well, I'm sure they could big up the misery of it for Paul in this story, but still give it a bit of humour as well, because despite the misery, we have seen lots and lots of funniness in the story so far.
It wasn't funny this week.
It wasn't, but at least they don't wallow in it, and I think there's certainly some characters that could learn a lesson here, because Bernie says, "Look, well, let's just live our life. As whatever we got left together, let's live it to the fullest and all go out to the bistro for a treat." So they all go and they have a nice time, and Bernie's chatting to Billy and saying, "I'm really sorry for everything," and he's kind of choking up and saying, "Look, we're going to get through this. It'll be okay." Paul says
maybe Bernie should bust out of prison and she and Paul can live in the woods and Todd can teach them how to do it.
Maybe. You're obsessed with Todd in the Woods. You'd like to bring that up on a regular basis.
Todd living in the woods is my Roman Empire. I think of it all the time.
I think it's the flashback that need to happen.
Yeah.
Paul's
whose face would they
woody
use
flashbacks.
For it? Paul's woody flashbacks.
Oh, Todd's woody flashbacks. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, went in looking like one thing, came out looking like another. So
camping's rough.
We get a mention of the PA gym in the next scene, because Billy's talking with Todd and Paul's saying, I think we might need to get somebody who can help us with the practical side of things. Shelley had her PA gym. Maybe we should speak to him. And I was at this scene, I was like, I think I might have turned over to you and said, that Jim, he killed Shelley. It was assisted suicide.
No.
I'm convinced. I don't think that they'd have brought this guy back, which they're clearly kind of signposting that that's the way they're going. I'm sure of it. I think that Jim killed Shelley.
No,
and
I don't agree.
Why?
Why do we have to go down that route? We only just had it.
Yeah, but it was... What do you mean we only just had
Hayley.
it? No, but that was 10 years ago.
It wasn't.
And
It was long enough.
When the idea was first mooted back in July, was it? I did say that I don't think we need this now, and it does feel too soon to Hayley. But now
Too many stories.
But now I've got my heart set on this. My little theory that Jim killed Shelley, and this is what they're going to do with Paul.
I don't like the idea.
I just want to be. I don't like the idea. I think I just want to be proven right, because I don't often get my theories right. But anyway, I guess we'll find out more about that as the week goes on. Back at home, poor Bernie, she kind of loses the front that she's been putting on in the evening, and kind of starts getting all frantic. She's so good.
Dev.
Jane to Dev, yeah, Jane Hazelgrove, absolutely amazing. Dev's trying to calm her down, but she won't let him, and she's like, I should be with my boy right now until the very end, and now I might not be. I'll never forgive myself. And they end the episode with a hug, and such a brilliant dramatic scene. Those two. It took me a long time to warm to the pair of them together, but scenes like this,
they're great.
It's just give them the right story. Pretty much anyone can shine, really.
I've said that for a while.
Love it. Ed on Wednesday comes round to. I didn't hear him say it, but I trust you when they say he's putting handrails in the bathroom, and there's a little bit of awkwardness around the whole bathroom incident last week.
He puts one in the entranceway as well.
Oh, does he? Okay.
And there was some criticism on Twitter saying that if he can work, there was something wrong in the way that Paul was moving around.
Yeah, they're saying that he's lost I've seen a few people tweet that he's supposedly lost the use of his right arm pretty much, but he's still wheeling his wheelchair with his right arm.
But yeah, but also the handrail was in the wrong place.
Oh really? Okay. I don't know.
You know, I mean,
it's
one of those things that if you're really close to something, you see, we've done it before.
Oh yeah.
You say that's wrong and that's wrong.
Yeah. So the thrust of this episode, really, for this story is this "I Will Always Be Me" book that Paul and Todd why do I keep saying Todd? Paul and Billy are presented with at the speech therapist, and the idea is that you can read this book and record yourself, and it will make a recorded version of your voice, a little bit like the AI voice that we've got on our new iOS update. And it's a lovely idea, and it's a real thing, isn't it? It's a real.
Yeah.
I don't know whether the exact book is the same book, but the idea of reading a book and it is an actual thing, because I've seen that Dan Brocklebank and Peter Ash have been promoting it on Twitter this week.
I think I read somewhere that for each of these, it costs about £85 to sort of set the book up and bank the voice and stuff. And
the speech therapist talks about recording some key phrases again. It kind of felt a bit of a rehash of when the idea was put to them last week. So I don't think they necessarily needed it, but when they get home, Billy's there saying, "Oh, should we try doing some recording of your voice?" But Paul would rather just have a snogging sesh on the sofa, which clearly gets a little bit more than that, because the next time we see them, they're very scantily clad with a blanket draped over their nether regions. Who knows what they've been getting up to there? And Paul's like, well, that bath certainly did marvels for our relationship. Certainly seems to improve our sex life.
Oh my goodness.
Me, we're too prudish for this.
I can't.
And then he records himself saying, "I love you, Billy."
Yeah.
And Billy's got tears in his eyes. That was really, really sweet. That was lovely stuff.
You can actually read this book online if you want to. There's a digital version that you can see what the book.
Does it make a digital recording of your voice?
No, you have to record that separately. There's not very much text in it, really. It doesn't seem like.
Okay. So what did you? Any particular thoughts about this other than it wasn't that sad?
It was really sad, and it was one of these things where you're learning something. You're kind of being invited into somebody's world and experience. Because I would never have known about this book if it wasn't for this show.
Fascinating.
I'm really happy you know, it's easy to be horrible about humans and say how awful we are. And there's a lot of things going on that obviously would make you think that. But the fact that humans sit down and think of these things and put them together and help people to keep their voices after something like this happens, I just think it's really lovely.
Are we going to get so far into the story
that he doesn't have a digital voice?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh. Well, 80% of people apparently who have MND have difficulty with their voice.
If he's got 6 to 12 months to live, and that's kind of put a time frame on it, he's clearly not going to waste away as much as he might do. So I think that they probably could get away with Peter Ash not really changing physically. So maybe he will make it to the very, very end.
What do you mean? I think people's physicality can change very drastically.
Do you reckon? In the amount of I suppose 6 to 12 months is quite a while, isn't it? But I think if he didn't, it wouldn't feel so unrealistic. If he stayed looking the way he does now.
Yeah.
But I still, you know, in the back of my head think that we're going to have this assisted dying story rear its ugly head again. But maybe, you know, with Paul's newfound faith, he's going to not feel it's
That's
right
what I was thinking.
to go down
You keep
that
saying,
route.
oh, the assisted dying story will raise its ugly head again. You're the one that keeps raising it. Nobody else has.
Jim got a shout out, that's all that
Jim
needed from
didn't
me.
do anything wrong. This is your theory. Nobody has suggested that happened.
Do you think that Bernie made the right call with her guilty plea?
It's hard to say because maybe she might not have been found guilty. It would have prolonged things because she would have had a trial. And then if the trial had taken too long, it's possible that she... I mean, at the moment, it is quite possible that she could go into prison and come out before Paul dies. So... But if she delayed things with the trial and then they decided to put her in prison anyway and then they gave her a longer sentence...
I have got no concerns whatsoever about her still being in prison when Paul dies. That's not going to happen, is it?
I think they want
They
us
wouldn't make it that
to cry.
sad. Unless, you know, maybe it's going to be like an Audrey turning up just too late at Alma's deathbed kind of scene.
Too soon!
Oh god, maybe they could do that. But no, honestly, I don't think that there's any risk in her being banged up when he shuffles off this mortal coil.
Complete with the sound of somebody's
But
stomach.
I love the idea that there's still the idea that it could happen. I love it. Over to you, Gemma. The salon storyline. Salon up. We are only going to be going down to a one hairdressing street again.
Oh, need I remind you that the other place wasn't even on the street?
Well, you know what I mean.
Wasn't even on the next street. Or the street after that, it was round the corner.
That's 2 streets away.
No. Rosamond Street.
Yeah. And then Victoria
Street. Wasn't on Victoria Street, it's down the side.
It's a little bit down the side, isn't it?
Well, I'm saying that...
What's been going on with this,
might
Gemma?
as well be in another planet. Max and David hear noises in the salon.
On Monday.
Why are we suddenly there? Why are they there?
They've just gone in. They've just gone in.
And Audrey's there. And they don't want her to be there. And she says she wants to carry on working.
This Monday episode was all about Audrey trying to prove that she's still got it. She's in complete denial that her...
So last week was when she was cutting.
Health. Yeah.
And her hands are shaking.
No, that was this week.
That's what I'm trying to work out. That's why I'm trying to read ahead.
That's all right. I can keep on blathering away while you remind yourself what happened on Monday.
That's right. So they don't want her to work there, but she wants to carry on. Kurt comes in, and he wants his head, nose, and ears done. And Max says he'll do it for some reason, but Audrey's like, no, you let me do it.
No, Max doesn't say that he'll
You've
do
written
it.
Max.
Yeah, I've written, despite Max's protestations, Audrey insists she'll do it. Max is just saying, I don't think you should, Audrey.
Can you see how I interpreted that wrong, even though I saw the scene? Sorry.
It's because he's got this other client there, hasn't he?
David's working on somebody else, and then when he's finished, he tries to get Kirk from Audrey, and she's like, no, and then she gets the clippers and her hand starts shaking really badly, and she then pretends that she's forgotten something, and so she goes to leave. Because he's obviously shocked at herself here that this is happening.
Well, it's also
it's not helping her that David's shrieking in her face.
It's also the fact that she realises she's being watched, and I think that she is in denial. She must be. These clippers can't be the only thing that's making a handshake. I'm wondering, like, when she's trying to pour herself a cup of tea, is she shaking the kettle, or when she's trying to, I don't know, stoke her fire back at Grasmere Drive, has she experienced this as well? And
I don't think this would be the first time this happened.
No, but I suppose because hairdressing is in her blood, and she's been working in that salon since late 90s now, and she did hairdressing for many years before that as well. Sometimes was it out the back of number 11, wasn't it? It's one of these things that you think, well, I'm always going to be able to have this skill. This defines who I am in a way, and when you suddenly have that taken away from you by just the aging, then you don't want to admit it.
Max and David
Gemma agrees.
Find Audrey in the bistro drinking, and David sits down with her and sends Max back as though he can do anything to keep the salon going. And David's trying to talk to Audrey, and she's like, look, okay, I can't do it anymore. I don't even know what you're talking about when you tell me what haircuts you need. They don't make any sense to me. And we're with her, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
All these modern haircuts, silly.
Was it got fades? Is it? I don't know.
I don't think that's a new thing.
I've never asked for anything other than just cut the sides of the top of my hair.
You just go in and say, make it shorter. Make the hairs I have shorter than they are now.
Yeah. But now I've got this Turkish barbers that I'm trying out. Maybe I'll go experimental.
Do you
Who
think
knows
Audrey
what I'll be looking like next time I go to a visit?
Would approve of flaming your ear holes?
I don't know, but it's almost a shame that she's retiring before she's had a chance to try it out.
I think she'd love it. She says maybe.
I think that maybe this is going to be Hope's career move. When she's old enough.
Working in a Turkish barber's flaming men's ear rolls.
Yeah, that's how she gets to still try out her love of fire in a safe environment.
Yeah, I think
that's if I was her careers advisor at school, I'd be pushing her down that route.
I don't think that she's
Turkish
telling
barber.
the careers advisor that she has a problem with arson.
I really, really like setting fire to things. What jobs are there
Is
for
there
that?
a trampoline fire thing I could do? Maybe she could work in fire safety testing the trampolines to see if they catch on fire. Anyway, David says that maybe it's time you hang up your scissors, and she says, oh, I can't. I need the money because of Stephen. Don't pretend you're the victim, Audrey. Carla's out £250,000. What if she? I suppose he stole.
She's got the house money, hasn't she?
She doesn't have the house.
No, he's got the house money. Well, he had the house money.
Where's it all gone?
I don't know.
Well, it's in a secret.
Into a convenient soap bank vault.
This is what the bankers do, isn't it? They steal our money and they say, what's your password? And you say, I don't know. And they say, you're not getting it back.
Ours now.
Surely, I'm not going to get into it. On Wednesday, Audrey tells David that she wants to work with him and Maria later. And so when Maria comes dropping into the salon, she tells everyone there's an estate agent taking photos of Trim Up North. And Audrey's like, I'm sorry that you had to find out this way, but I'm selling it so I can buy back Grasmere Drive because I want my own house back. And Max is like, good for you, Gran. And David says, this is a big step. And then she tells David and Maria that she wants to take over one of the chairs in the salon. And if you didn't know, that just means that she wants to take one of the jobs.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the way they talk about it in hairdressing. You have a chair, that's your chair. David and Gary and Maria have a crisis meeting in the cafe, and Maria's like, oh, well.
Yeah, because it means that Maria or David are going to have to leave.
How have they gone from 2 salons to only one job?
I really like Trim Up North. I think the set's brilliant. Vin Diesel the Weasel, iconic instantly.
I don't understand the logic of making 2.
No, it's not necessary, and I think now I can't see at the end of this story that both places are still there, and it kind of does make me feel a bit sad that it's going to be Trim Up North that will go, presumably.
Yeah, obviously, well, they're selling it.
When that's the more modern and interesting set, and they're stuck with the same salon. And I know that they had a redecoration last year, but it ties back in with the thing of so many things on Coronation Street just stay exactly the same. I say, let's have something else in the salon building. It's been a salon for 30 years now. Let's try something new. Keep Trim Up North. Time to move on. Time to move with the times. That's what I want, really.
I know what they should put in there.
What?
Vape shop.
Yeah, well, they're springing up everywhere, aren't they? That's Hope. Maybe Hope could sell a vape shop, and it could be called Stapes Vapes. I know she's changed her name to Dobbs again, but she could go back for business
for a funny
purposes.
Joke, yeah.
It would be ironic, I suppose, if Hope was selling vapes, which are the things that you can smoke without having to set fire to them.
Maybe she's just like, and when you come in and say, hello, please, I guess this is what you do. Hello, may I buy a vape, please? She's like, are you sure you don't want a lighter?
Are you sure you don't want a cigarette?
Go on, you can burn them. Anyway.
Would they ever dare to have a vape shop on Coronation Street, even though it would clearly reflect the biggest... There's no other type of business that has boomed more in the last 5 to 10 years.
There's no new business I can think of that suddenly... Vape shops are like what... tanning bed.
They're like the
salons.
Starbucks of the 2020s.
Oh, how sad is that?
They couldn't, could they? It would not be a good look. But...
It's the healthy alternative. Right, so David, Gary and Maria have this crisis meeting, and Maria's like, well, I'm not going to get the job, are you? Because your family, David's, it's going to be you. And Gary says, why don't we buy Trim Up North? And Maria says, no. Don't even think about that.
What's he got? Is he still got any of Rick's money sitting around?
He's like, if you can tell me when Weatherfield County was formed, I can open this lockbox.
Rick's bank vault.
Well, she says, I don't want a big mortgage, so they would have had to borrow the money. And Davey is worrying about Gran Audrey working herself into an early grave. So they go back to the salon and try to convince Audrey she's being too hasty, and she says, no, I'm doing it for myself now. I've got nobody to help me. I've got to bring the money in myself. I don't think she's heard of a pension. Maria tells her, stick your job, and goes away.
She does. It happened. You watched it. Maria gets struck with the fact that Audrey isn't deciding to just give it to her. She's Maria's admitting defeat because she thinks that David's going to get it as a family member, and she also thinks that Audrey's being very selfish. What do you think she is? I
don't know why she doesn't have a pension.
I don't know, but
I can imagine Alfie making sure she had a pension.
There was a scene later on in the episode where Gail and my notes aren't going to make sense in a bit. I just warn you now already, I'm afraid. But Gail's trying to say to her, "It's not your fault about Stephen, and come on, don't be." She reminds her about David and Nick stealing the money and saying, "Look, just because they did that, it doesn't mean that you need to take it out on them." Because Audrey, as much as we've been a supporter of her over the whole Stephen incident, I'm finding is being a little bit, she's being selfish, but does she deserve to be selfish?
What are you talking about?
Should she, as the grandmother or the great grandmother of the clan, the clan,
Platt
that's
clan.
the Platt clan, yeah. Should she be obliged to give them the money, or is she perfectly entitled? The salon. Should she bequeath it to her because that's her duty?
She's not bequeathing anything.
I know she's not.
Well, what are you talking about that
for? I don't know.
She's not leaving. She's not talking about that now. She's talking about taking a job off of David or Maria. What do you think happening?
I just lose track of who owns what.
I don't know.
Audrey owns Trim Up North, doesn't she? And she's keeping that money for herself.
She's going to use the money to pay off Grasmere Drive.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's not difficult.
Okay.
No, it's easy to understand. Stephen took the money from her, used the equity in Grasmere Drive, and stole that. Okay. So now, the bank or whatever company owns that property.
Mm-hmm.
So because she owns the salon and Trim Up North.
No, she doesn't own the salon, does she? Because Debbie owns the salon. She talked about paying rent to Debbie.
Well, whatever. Because she owns the business that's in the property.
Yeah.
Because that's a separate concept, even though Corrie conflates them all the time. So she's selling Trim Up North, and she's going to use that money to pay back into Grasmere Drive. But now she doesn't have the income from Trim Up North, so she thinks she needs to work at the salon to keep a roof over her head.
Right.
I don't really know why she needs to do this, and then she changes her mind within an episode. Because Gail's saying, look, you don't need to blame yourself. We're sorry that this has happened. We're going to look after you. And Audrey says, I don't know what I'm going to do. And Gail says, I think you do. So then Audrey tells Maria and David that she can't work at the salon anymore, and she wants Maria and David to co-manage it.
I love how David bagsied it. It's like, I'll have it. This is a... Go on.
I was just going to say, so Audrey is still getting a cut of this, but she's not getting as much as she would have done if she was cutting hair.
Yeah.
This doesn't really make any sense.
It doesn't matter. I loved it. This was another story that, because it's got characters in that I really enjoy watching, this had some brilliant scenes this week, and the relationship between these characters is built up over so many years.
I'm not sad to see David and Maria back together, because I thought the David and Maria had one of the best working relationships.
Yeah, they were fantastic, and all the fun that they had with Friday, with Vin Diesel and everything was brilliant to watch. But I do admit that it was. Yeah, it's kind of sad to feel that it is the end of an era for Audrey, even though I've been thinking for a while she can't keep that place forever. Just to hear her admit it on the end of Wednesday's episode is kind of sad.
Yeah. Yes. I'm just really confused about why didn't Audrey say, you two have this chairs and I'll manage it?
I don't know.
That would have made more sense.
Because she feels that she's still got it. She
doesn't.
Yeah, but she's not wanted
admit.
She's not wanted to admit that she's.
She feels she's
getting
still got
old.
It.
Yeah, she feels that she's still.
But then why
got many years of hairdressing ahead of her.
No, she doesn't, because she's given it up.
But no, she is now. But she doesn't want.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that she. It was really hard for her to admit that she needs to hang up the scissors.
Yes, we all know that.
And it's
what
sad.
are you saying? I don't get it.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying, why didn't she just make David and Maria the hairdressers and she's the boss?
Because I think the conversation with Gail has just helped her to realise that maybe winding everything down at her age.
She could actually do that. She can't do the cutting of the hair, but she can manage. She just gone from saying, right, only 2 people can work there and one of them's going to be me, to, right, you're both the boss now.
I don't know.
And she was doing this because she needed the money, and now apparently she doesn't need it. Well, she go home and look at her maths again and say, God, I really didn't add this up properly. I am actually rich.
Actually loaded, yeah.
Anyway, the first order of the day is for David and Maria, as you already said, argue over Vin Diesel, the weasel, who's been salvaged from Trim Up North. And I suppose that whoever was viewing that property is now going to have the news broken to them that he doesn't come with it, which might affect whether they're willing to go ahead with the purchase.
This is the first time that we've seen Vin Diesel for a long time. There haven't been any Trim Up North scenes for a jolly long time, have there?
Haven't been.
They must have dismantled that set.
Many salon scenes in general because of COVID.
No. Yeah, but Vin Diesel was a lovely little, because it was one of the first scenes of the episode, wasn't it? With him sitting there on the counter, and they had some great close-ups of him. I just find he tickles me whenever he appears on screen.
Hilarious.
I think he's absolutely hilarious. Is it the guys at Coronation Street Experience that said, "Sorry, he's part of our exhibit now.
Yeah,
you can't keep him." That having them argue, which was a pointless scene, but a great little character moment between them. Like you said, David and Maria have had a really fun working relationship to watch, and to be fighting over this weasel that lots of people feel passionately about was just right. It was right up my street.
Well, I agree with Maria. The aesthetic is off here, and unfortunately, they've already done Audrey's up. They can't redecorate it just to match a weasel. But I don't agree you should go in the skip.
No, because Max puts it in the skip later.
Well, that was on Maria's say-so.
Yeah.
And
That's
Audrey's
that's harsh.
Stop
That's
bickering.
proper harsh.
Stop bickering, and Shona tells David he needs to make up with Maria.
Yeah.
Or else. And there was a really funny scene when Maria, David and Shona are in the bistro in there, and David's just being horrible, and Maria storms off and David takes her wine and drinks it. She's abandoned it. I thought that was great.
So what do you think is going to happen to the Trim Up North building?
Oh God. Vape shop.
I can see...
Rival, not another rival salon.
No, it won't be. It doesn't need to be. It wasn't... Am I right in thinking that when they revealed Victoria Street, it wasn't a hairdresser?
No, it was just abandoned.
Yeah, it was. It was a council building. Oh, no, it was estate agents, wasn't it, that was in there at first? Well, now we got Hayes Travel just... Oh, no, that's different. They got a travel, they got a estate... Could go back to that.
Estate agents and travel
Not
agents
the same thing.
are two different things.
I wonder whether they could turn it into a nightclub or maybe.
Quite small and right near flats. I don't think so.
Perfect for drama. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to seeing whatever it becomes. But
I think they'll just make it empty.
I think, as sad as I am to lose Trim Up North, it feels right because there doesn't absolutely need to be two.
I can't understand why there ever was an idea
vicinity.
that this would make sense.
It really makes no sense.
You can only have a character go in there to get their hair cut every, 6 weeks or so, otherwise it gets silly.
Yeah, and it was very confusing for a long period about who owned what and who was the manager of what. I still don't really know, and soon it will be all over because we'll be back to one salon again.
Good.
Sad times. Okay, speaking of vapes, Gemma, we had the Dylan storyline back again this week. Like we said earlier in the episode, there was a lovely little delightful French exchange between Sean and Dylan at the beginning of the episode.
And in order to honour that, we're going to do the rest of this podcast in French.
We are not. Sean also presents Dylan with a pair of trainers, and I turned to you and I said, I reckon that Mason's going to be wearing those trainers before the week is out, and I was right. So Mason's getting all leery with Dylan at school later. That was a new set, wasn't it? The locker room.
Yes.
That looked quite realistic to me. No, it wasn't. I don't think it was. I think that they just found a corner of the studio somewhere and put some lockers. It was, noticeably plain to me.
They can't do that. That's lying.
So anyway, Dylan's trying to sell vapes around the school under Mason's orders.
Where's he got all this? Is he's nicked it or something? That's what I want to know. Do you think he's nicked it?
Well, they're either been nicked or they're off the back of a lorry or something because
what do you think off the back of a lorry means?
We found later that they are dodgy vapes, don't we? Because as Simon tells Dylan, my dad's tried these and they're a load of rubbish.
Do you reckon a dodgy vape is one that when you use it, it immediately makes you super healthy?
So he's trying to sell them around the school and nobody's really biting, but then Hope comes along. Dylan's, because he's a good boy at heart, not so keen to sell one to this little girl, but so he tries to put her off, and Mason's not very impressed with that because he sees it happening. Dylan finds Hope and he agrees to...
No, she's like, give me that vape back.
Oh yeah, that's right. She says that she'll give him the vape back, but it's going to cost him double what she paid him for it originally, which is a great bit of entrepreneurialism.
Do you think that Hope vapes?
I don't know.
I think in if this was real life, she probably would do.
So many teenagers do it.
It makes me really sad to think
really
how hard their lives are going to be trying to give this up.
From what I'm hearing about the secondary schools round us, it's like such a common thing. It absolutely is. And I spoke about my horror about how vapes are clearly marketed towards children a few weeks ago. But
I know that kids used to smoke probably more than they vape. When they were teenagers.
I think that Hope...
It's just really sad that we nearly got away from it as a, and now...
Yeah, and now it's something else. Yeah. It's like the Alco Pops, isn't it?
Oh, Hooch. That's the devil's juice. I remember when Hooch came out on the news. Did you watch when we were... Because we were under 18 when this came out, and all the news articles, all these presenters like... Alco Pops are forcing children to become alcoholics, and I was watching it going, I can't wait to try that. Hooch looks great.
I don't think that Hope strikes me as a vapor. She still seems too young.
No, but she's very rebellious.
Yeah.
And she's so cool.
It doesn't matter anyway, but she clearly is maybe up for trying it. I don't know where
these kids are getting all this money from.
I know.
No wonder parents say it's so expensive to have kids. Stop giving them vape money. We never had vape money when I was a kid.
Liam was in this story a bit this week as well, wasn't he? He's kind of loitering around the locker room, and he also gives Dylan £10 at the end of the episode because he realises that his family's a bit hard up at the moment.
Well, Dylan's so poor he has to eat cheese sandwiches.
Yeah. On Mason Friday, Mason comes and finds Dylan. Even though it's an inset day at school, he didn't get any respite from him because he's like, right, you need to sell the rest of the vapes today.
This is why he should have kept up his paper round.
Yeah.
He thought that was oppressive.
He could have gone round every door and said, here's a paper, would you also like a vape with that?
Yes, I think people would like that.
Delivered straight to your door. Yeah. Sean, for some reason, didn't realise it was an inset and has to hear it from Hope. He doesn't know because Dylan's not at home and because he's off selling vapes around. Cassie is in that scene as well with Hope in the shop, and she realises that Hope's a little bit more flush than she should be, and Hope kind of admits it's something to do with Dylan and gives the game away that he's been selling vapes and everything that happened there.
What do you think's worse for your health, a pot noodle or a vape?
I'll get back to you on that one. Steve, it's Steve, isn't it? He breaks up a scuffle between Simon and Dylan later when Simon comes back because he's bought these vapes for Peter, and he comes back and says, "My dad says that these are fake, and I want my money back."
Do you know what? I think that's rude.
What?
I think that Peter should have said, "Thank you, Simon." Thank you very much.
The thought that counts.
And then not said anything rude about the vapes. How dare you look a gift horse in the mouth when your child brings you a vape? Then
we have scenes where Sean's having a go at Dylan because he's found out about this from Evelyn and Cassie. And they do that, or does he find out somewhere? It doesn't matter. He finds out anyway. He's been looking in his bag. And he's dunked all the vapes in the washing up bowl. This was a bit like when did Ken burn Adam's drugs money a few years ago? He's like, no.
Don't put your hands in that water because you'll get electrocuted.
And then this is when Tyrone and Cassie come round and saying, what's going on? Cassie, bless her, she knows a bit about addiction, says, you are giving these things away that are highly addictive, you nutcase.
You should sell them.
And they're trying to find out if somebody is making him do it, and they hit the nail right on the head by saying, is this Mason that's doing this? And he obviously won't admit it at this point, storms out, and then indeed there's one more scene in the end of the episode for this one, and it is Mason stealing Dylan's shoes.
He doesn't steal them.
Well, he says,
give me your shoes.
Give me your money. I ain't got any money. Well, what else you got then? And did anyone else find it a bit weird that Mason just popped out of Victoria Gardens? Because Liam and Dylan were there at the gate, weren't they? They were, yeah. And then, what's he been doing? He's been hiding among the plants.
Gardening.
He's been planting his bulbs for the next year.
Yes, this is the time to get your spring bulbs in. He knows this. He watches Gardener's World.
I enjoyed this. This is I've got very few complaints about Corrie this week.
A lot of people hate this story.
Do they?
Yeah.
I've not seen any reactions to this at all online. I am very much enjoying it.
Maybe we're too fuddy-duddies. I don't think that's possible.
I think, like I said earlier, I think that Luca's doing a great job playing Mason. Lovely seeing Dylan in a story. He's a very reliable actor. Sean, still, he's getting lots of scenes where he's having to prove his... he should be a parent, and he's not just flouncing around and flicking his head around. We're seeing a side of Sean now more consistently than we've not really seen before, and I think that Anthony Cotton is doing a absolutely great job at being the
useless
stern.
dad.
No, he's not. He's not being useless.
He is a bit useless.
Why?
He didn't know what Inset Day was. His kid's selling vapes on the street, and he can only afford a cheese sandwich.
I think he's doing his best to put his foot down, and I am very much enjoying that side of Sean.
My point is that he did it, and I think this is supposed to be what you're supposed to take away from it. He did it in a manner of a man who's not actually used to disciplining his child. I would say that Dylan strikes me as the kind of kid who didn't really put a foot wrong until now.
Oh yeah, I would say so.
I don't think that Sean's got very much practice telling Dylan off.
No.
And so I think
he's coming
awkward.
across well as he's trying his best.
Yeah.
He's loving it. What else do we have? Oh, you're a bit of Joseph, Gemma. Sorry,
what's he doing?
Just not being ill.
Oh, he's ill.
He's not ill.
He says he's on Monday. He says he can go to school, and so Gemma and Chesney get into an argument because Chesney thinks that she's making it up that he was sick, and Chesney says, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Joseph.
You are. It is in your head."
He apologises to her later and says that you were only looking out for him.
That it felt like very filler. That scene, well, there was 2 scenes. There was the beginning of the episode they fall out, end of the episode they make up again, and the story is no further down the road than it was last week.
I know lots of people that think that this is factitious disorder imposed upon another, aka Munchausen's by proxy.
Yes.
I just can't see how... it makes me feel tired. If that's really what that story is...
like I said before, I don't need this story.
Yeah,
at
nobody
all.
wants this story because the thing about that is I think a lot of people get confused about what I'm not going to call it factitious disorder because it annoys me. Munchausen's is not where you think your kid is sick. That's kind of like a form of hypochondria. Munchausen's is where you make somebody ill on purpose so that you can gain sympathy and attention for yourself. That, to me, in no way fits in to Gemma's personality at all.
No.
She's not the sort of person who would do that.
No, she
wouldn't
probably
do it.
cares for those kids.
She really cares about them. And I just think that it can't be that at all. I think people get confused about what that disorder is.
Part of me is thinking, what's the point of this story? There's a perfectly good story with her brother that she should maybe be more involved with. Yeah. But equally, I'm thinking, I don't think she's needed. I think the love story, the tragic love story that's going on between Paul and Billy wouldn't be enhanced in the slightest by Gemma being around. Bernie's already being the excellent third party in this story. It doesn't really need Gemma.
There's no way Gemma's abusing Joseph to make him ill.
It kind of feels like they're saying, well, clearly Gemma's got to be doing something during Paul's storyline, but we don't want her in the storyline. Let's just make up something else. What other drama can she have?
I can understand that she's projecting her anxiety onto Joseph.
Yeah.
But I think Joseph's just stressed out and he's saying he's sick when he isn't because he's sick and tired of life and how horrible everything is all the time, and he wants to just stay at home and play computer games, which I think we can all
why wouldn't you
empathise with.
Also this week we had this Rovers story, which has been, everybody seems to be wondering, as have the viewers, what's going on with the Rovers. It was boarded up about a month and a half ago and nothing seems to have happened with it since, despite the fact that they said that they were building moving the builders in and they were going to get renovating straight away. So when Brian realises this later and then phones up, did he phone at Waterford's? He finds out that they're planning to sell up because the Waterfords have got cold feet over the whole deal because they don't like the fact that it's been associated with the serial killer.
They should have done more research.
Yeah, exactly.
Loads of people died in there.
So now they're going to sell it to the highest bidder, which turns out to be a property developer. And oh no, everybody, for the second time in about 3-4 years, there could be a massive block of flats on Coronation Street.
No!
Oh wait, no, that's not going to happen, is it? Ray Crosby's not going to be popping out and saying, hey, it's me again, I told you I'd build my luxury flats here in the end. No, as much as I've enjoyed this Rovers story, it has been let down a bit by the fact that nobody thinks, oh, this could be the end of the Rovers. So now putting this unrealistic potential outcome of, oh, what if there's flats built? Who's watching it thinking, oh, I hope that's not going to happen? Nobody. I don't know whether they have done something else to add a bit more drama here.
The only thing I can think would be to have somebody buy it and just spitefully leave it abandoned. Like, say if, like, I don't know, somebody at Waterford's like, yeah, you know what, you guys mess us around so much, I'm sick and tired of this whole street of people we're just going to leave this property vacant and we're going to squat on it and leave it there as part of our portfolio of properties, and you're not going to have a pub. And then that would, that is, of course, we all know a pub near us.
Yeah.
If you live in this country, probably live near an abandoned pub, because that's happened to hundreds, literally, of them across the country. The idea that a pub could be just left vacant for years is totally plausible.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen on the show, is it? I must say, I did like I like Jenny behind the counter in the cabin.
Oh yeah, it was good.
That was
wasn't
a bit of a flashback to when she came in. And then we had the Ed story, didn't we? He starts off getting his Norris card.
He gets his Norris Cole card because he's obviously applied pretending that he was him, because he's got this post that's in his name. And then they decide, Michael and Ed are talking about Wendy houses, and Ed is determined that Glorie's going to get a Wendy house for Christmas. Where are they putting it?
I know, they've got no room.
There's nowhere to put a Wendy house. Ronnie finds Ed looking upset, and he says, I want a Wendy house. Maybe I can get some money out of the business. And Ed's like, no, we build houses. We don't build tiny little Wendy houses. Ronnie leaves, and Ed goes to the casino. And when he comes back later, he's got a Wendy house.
How did that happen?
Don't know.
He's got a good string of luck here, has Ed.
He sends Michael off to make sure Gloria and Dee Dee don't come home, so he can get all the stuff in the back so he can put this Wendy house together later. And then Michael leaves, and Ed looks at this credit card that he's got, and he starts to cut it in two, but I don't know if he does actually cut it.
Well, yeah, and those scissors weren't going through the chip, were they?
No.
So he might be having second thoughts about this.
Oh, I can understand. How you said before, like, I can't understand how you get addicted to gambling. Not like, oh, you must be a terrible person. Like, I can't imagine that happening. I can't. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I was thinking, like, if there was a way where you could go into, like he literally gets the cab, goes to the casino, and wins enough money to make his, like, wish come true, that I can see how that's addictive.
Yeah.
Bloody
Maybe
hell.
it was really that easy. Eh?
Well, sometimes it is, and that's isn't that half the problem?
Yeah.
Sometimes it is that easy, and then you think, oh, that will happen again, and then you lose your house and you have to live in a Wendy house.
Maybe that's where this story's going.
Yeah.
They're going to have them all cramped into that.
Oh, the Baileys go, another fine mess you got us into, Dad. Sorry, everyone.
Okay, so that's it. What? Oh,
I had another thought about Joseph.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the one that's got the Munchausen's or whatever. Maybe he's making himself sick.
Maybe. Because
obviously by proxy and imposed upon another, we normally talk about it in terms of an abusive parent or caregiver who's abusing a child for attention. But, it was originally, the name of it is... And that's what Curtis, there was a question about him having that. So where you do it to yourself. Is it too soon after Curtis? I think it is.
What you saying about making yourself sick reminded me of when Amy tried to make herself sick by drinking milk when she was really, really little, and then that reminded me of the scene that got you goat in the hospital today when Amy was like, "Why have you brought me a black coffee?" Thinking that maybe there might be oat milk available in the Weatherfield General coffee machine.
Yeah, why doesn't the hospital machine have a wide variety of plant-based milks?
These we're millennials, aren't they? What are they? Gen Zs. Yeah. Right. So good week on the whole. Could have done without the Joseph stuff, but honestly, every other storyline had an awful lot to enjoy.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
The Amy story came out of nowhere for me, and I absolutely loved it. It was El Mulvaney. Brilliant performances. The nightclub scenes, filming on location, somewhere a bit different. Totally on the edge of our seats because I did not know what she was going to be doing to that guy that she didn't.
Neither did she.
She allowed to drug himself.
She didn't know what she was doing.
The Isla stuff is intriguing to me because as little as we see them as a couple, I do like Nina and Asha. And I thought that the scene with Isla and Asha chatting away while Nina was just melting into a puddle of boredom was a lot of fun. Paul and
It
Billy,
reminds me
enough
of
said.
some people that we know that talk about hospitals.
It reminds
If
me
you
of
leave
people like that we are that just natter on for hours on end while people are sitting there going, "Oh, can I
What?
just get to the cabin section,
Sorry,
please?"
what are you talking about? Are these people you know in real life?
Yeah, so enough said with the Paul storyline. The salon was a real end of an era, kind of feels quite significant, but having David and Maria as business partners, I think, is ripe for potential.
Co-managers, not business partners.
Oh, yeah, sorry, co-managers, you're right. The vape stuff, I'm loving the teens. Rovers, obviously, the fact that storyline's rearing its head again can only be a good thing, and I'm liking seeing Ed's struggles with gambling. It was a really, really good week. I'm kind of struggling a bit with the score, but I don't know whether I'm feeling overly generous here, but I don't know what
I'm going to give it 4.
are you?
Yes.
Okay. 4.
Because I loved 4 slaps around the face with a bag of chicken nuggets. I loved the Amy stuff. I know it's silly. I know it was overblown. I know it was unrealistic. But you guys know me. Of course I loved it. I saw some people also complaining it's getting too much like Hollyoaks. But personally, can't relate to that because I've never seen it. So it doesn't bother me.
It felt fresh and different. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
When they went to that club, it's not the first time that Corrie's been to a club, but I'm going to say it's probably the first time in about 20 years they've had a scene there. Okay, I am going to give this... Shall I? No. Oh, yeah.
Character of the week for me is Amy.
Of course.
Goes without saying.
Oh.
Shout out to Aadi. Just trying to fill the space here for you.
While I'm making my decision. Mm-hmm. It's not a 4.5. I'm like really, really on the cusp of giving it a 4.5. I really, really was. But I don't think it was quite big enough, even though tonight's was brilliant.
That's cool.
Yeah, a really high 4. Fruits of Dev's loins gathering ominously outside his door.
Wow.
And that is
That's
Asher
scary.
and Aadi and Amber and unknown child.
Yeah, there's loads of them.
That he fathered when he was a massive Lothario 30 years ago.
We know there's more than those two.
There are. He has got many fruits of his loins. He could make a whole fruit salad out of it.
That's a particularly hairy kiwi.
Okay. Good stuff, Coronation Street. I love it, but I also get nervous because I know this streak of banging episodes is going to come crashing to a halt, and you never know when it's going to.
No.
Maybe Monday's episode is going to be absolutely awful, and then we'll be back in the doldrums again. But for now, I'm riding the high of we've had a couple of really, really strong Coronation Street weeks. So well done, and I hope it carries on through Christmas. You know what? We didn't have any Ryan and Daisy stuff.
No.
Honestly, I think that if Ryan and Daisy had replaced any of these stories, it would have made it a worse week.
Oh. Okay.
So yeah,
they could have slipped in instead of Joseph.
Yeah, but the Joseph stuff, honestly, what was it? It was 2 scenes. Pointless. Just have more scenes of something else. Okay, so that's it for this week's Street Talk.